something with it. Just consider what we do every day. Dances. The human dance. The flower dance. The bee dance. The giraffe dance. Do something rhythmic. Dance. Do something. Sing. Play games. There's a certain wonderful rhythm. Consider what some people like to knit. Others just like to breathe. Dances. Now you see, our very existence is a rhythm. Waking, sleeping, eating, moving. And that's all we're doing. Just consider what we do every day. What's it all about? Does it really mean anything? Does it go anywhere? Dances. The human dance. The flower dance. The bead dance. Do something rhythmic.
Oh my goodness.
All right, I made it. We're going to need someone to come in. I spilled beer. I apologize. Garcon,
Oh my goodness.
good thing is I'm prepped. Hello, welcome to the Final
How's
Debate
it going?
live stream. See, this is the first time we did YouTube live events.
Yeah.
True, yeah. It's a
I
little bit
look at
different.
and this, I ruined my Bic.
Oh no.
Oh,
My Bic is as good as useless.
We've only got 500 more of those.
So tonight we have Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
This is a little more. This is a little less produced, by the way, for people who are wondering. Like we do the Oscar stream, we have a bunch of sketches. We have all. This is just me and half Asian lawyer Bill Richmond will be here. He doesn't have coronavirus. Thank you, Johnny boy. You might need more than one towel. By the way, promo code Crowder Debate Stream, $20 off. It is good through Quarter Black Garrett. When is that?
Good through next week.
Good through Monday night. You were wrong.
Monday, tomorrow. Yeah,
Good
next
through
week is
Monday
Monday.
night. And on research today, because Too Cute Maddie is sick, she doesn't have corona, but if she does, we treat it the same way. The Beast Reg
Very fun.
is here. Look at that. Look at Reg. Look at
there
Reg
he
here.
is. Oh my
This is to
gosh.
keep him anonymous. This is a man
I'm
who
scared.
was a professor of research. Thank you so much. I apologize. You might need to clean up the I'm covered in it. You know what you look like since you'll be doing overlays? You look like those twin bodybuilders who did a film about babysitting in the 90s. Do you
Okay.
remember?
What?
And they
Okay.
danced their biceps. Type in crazy bodybuilding twins 90s
There we go.
babysitting.
90s babysitting.
We'll be,
He's already on it.
He's on it.
this is the
Already
guy who was a professor of research, okay, who helped us infiltrate Antifa, was on the phone with the FBI. He's the one who found the salon pedophile who wrote 3 articles and was currently active grooming children. And he squats, 630, I don't want to get it wrong, 632?
Yeah. More or less.
632.
No, yeah.
So I wanted to have him riding co-pilot. Too Cute Maddie. We hope you get better. Half Asian Bill will be here tonight. Biden versus Bernie. What do we expect here tonight? I have my thoughts. Quarter Black Garrett, audio Wade. What do you think?
Hilarity.
Expect
It's
hilarity.
going to be very, very funny.
I don't like this gentleman without his mustache.
Yeah?
Is that Axelrod?
I can't
I don't
tell.
know.
I can't tell.
I don't know.
Who is it?
But he does
I
need
can't
a
see. Is that
mustache.
Axelrod right now? Sorry, I have a little bit of glare in my eyes.
Needs some definition. I don't know. I don't know who it is.
He used to have a
Yeah.
mustache. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
that's Axelrod. I'm seeing a profile view. Someone tweet me at S Crowder. And if you join up tonight, by the way, Mug Club, promo code is Crowder Debate Stream. Send in your tweets. We'll be reading them later. Here's what I will say. Here's what I expect.
Yeah.
Reg told me before the show that he thought Bernie wouldn't have the balls to get dirty and go after Biden.
Yeah.
You think so, yeah.
I think he would, but I don't. I think tonight they're both going to kind of come together. And I think they're going to coalesce, and I think they're going to go after Donald Trump and Corona.
Really?
Speaking of
Yeah.
Corona,
Whoa.
half Asian
Hey,
Bill Richmond is here. Come on in. My
There
Corona.
it is.
Gentlemen.
Did you put any powder on, or
There
are
you
people
go.
going to see?
Oh, you're gonna see me the way I am.
Well, go put powder on. I don't want to see. I don't want them to see my lawyer all
look
greasy.
good.
See you later, Bill.
That's the equivalent of our makeup artist here. Is go and put powder on.
Yeah.
Greasy son of a bitch. So I expect them to both come together and go after Donald Trump tonight. I think they're
think
going to be
so?
going
Well,
after Donald Trump and Corona mainly because
Yeah. Okay.
I think at this point it's more important. And then I think they'll probably ease into going after each other. I do think when they go after each other, though, I think you're wrong. I think Bernie's going to hit Biden below the belt a little bit tonight. I think we can expect him to get dirty because Here's the thing. This is Bernie's last chance. This is the culmination
True,
of all his years of unemployment and couch surfing and suckling at the government teat for him to run for office.
Yeah.
And it's his last chance. So I think we're going to see kind of him amidst his death throes. Biden, here's the funny thing about Biden. Every time I see a clip with Joe Biden, you guys let me know what you think. Every time I see a clip now, I have to go, wait, is that Joe Biden from 4 years ago or today? Because he's improved zero.
Yeah.
And he's addressing the same
change.
controversies. He's had senioritis for like 20 years.
Yep.
Yeah. We're in a weird
there's
time.
no difference.
Yeah, we're in a weird time with Joe Biden in that Joe Biden has been phoning it in. Like, he's the kind of guy who probably his last year as VP, they found him at the tavern. He's like, come on. If I don't get to enjoy the last year, what's it all for? And now he's just, this is his time. And I think you made a good point there. I think it was Reg or Audio Wade. You know, it's not a good look that he didn't run when he was VP right there in 2016, and now he's running. So you know Hillary's people gave him a talking to.
For sure.
You know, they probably
shakedown.
took off all the J's and B's from his keyboard. You know, just veiled threats. And it's just weird to me. He's been in coast for a long time, but he's running for president. So he's the kind of guy who isn't quick enough on his feet. He's clearly not equipped to deal with these arguments. He hasn't done his research because he just thinks the media is going to carry the water for him, and they kind of are.
Yep.
So that's what I expect to see tonight. Half Asian Bill Richmond, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
What do you expect to see tonight?
I expect the mic to be on.
Is the mic not on?
Yeah, the mic's on.
No, the mic's on.
it's
You
totally
just can't
on.
hear it 'cause you
But
don't have
I
headphones on
can't
today.
hear myself, which
Yeah,
means
headphones
it's
on
not
today.
real.
Yeah, there's no headphones when we do the live
Damn
thing.
it.
Come on, man.
Okay, so who do I expect?
Do you
from what?
expect Biden and Bernie to go after each other? Do you expect them to fight dirty? Do you expect them to keep it polite and mainly go after Trump for coronavirus?
I think they're going to try to at first, and I think it will only take. I think of the one who will break first.
Yeah.
It's irascible Biden, who literally cannot help himself but snap at people.
Okay.
So
Which
I
one's
think-
going to make a goof first?
I think over under is 15 minutes.
Okay.
Over and under 15 minutes before the dam breaks. Someone makes a hot remark.
Yeah.
Biden talks about something we have no idea what he's talking about.
Right.
That's what happens.
Well, but we know what he's thinking about, and that's 12-year-old girls.
Well, I mean, 12, 13, 14.
True.
He actually, did you ever hear Biden's single that he cut? It was,
no, what was it?
When I'm worried, I can't sleep. I count adolescents instead of sheep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then he falls asleep, counting prepubescence. That's what he does.
Wow.
It's bizarre. It's almost
good
bizarre that
writing.
he would record that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that Columbia would put it in their house.
Yeah.
I mean, I found it on Spotify the
Disturbing,
other day.
really.
So,
Really?
I mean, it's, just...
I mean, it's weird. Like Nicki
Top
Minaj was
100.
making an appearance.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's the host of the
Kids
show. It's
love
the guy
prisoners.
whose brother has prisoners making hand sanitizer.
Oh,
Did you see that, Governor Cuomo?
Oh, no, I didn't know
And
that.
I was, and by the way, the Young Turks were upset about for-profit prisons. They had no
yeah.
problem. Like, yeah, make the prisoners make hand sanitizer. I have no problem at all with that.
Yeah,
sure.
it's fine.
Like they could be cleaning up the sides of the roads with pokey sticks, or they could be
Right.
tossing some Everclear into aloe vera, and we're none the wiser.
Yeah. Making us safe
they're
every day.
going to be doing something. They might as well make hand sanitizer.
So did you find did you find the guys? And you can just punch in when you find. Did you find the twin babysitters from the '90s film?
You know what? I think I have them.
Let me see him. Can I see him?
Let's see.
Oh,
we
there
got-
you go. Those guys. That's what you look like.
good.
Yeah,
Do you have
yeah.
a title or anything?
That was a fan of that. He looks like them if they had a baby with Alice
incredible.
Cooper. And by the way, I almost wore the boots today, but they're not a sponsor yet, so I didn't wear them.
Oh, that's all right.
So you'll know, a coming sponsor.
Someday.
If you're good at something, and let's be honest, I'm really good at wearing things.
True. If anybody said anything.
If anyone's
best
good at wearing
wearers.
about me, I'm one of the
Some of
best
the
wearers.
best wearers.
And that's really just because I'm compared to like the Bill O'Reillys of the world. Where, then
That's not a
they
high
go,
bar.
oh, it looks good on Steven, though. But you put me next to Billy Zane, I haven't got a shot. So if you're good at something, never do it for free. But we're excited, actually, for the new sponsor coming on. And I took them off because I was like, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Thank you to Walter, Black Rifle Coffee.
The future, no.
By the way, delegates, Biden has 860, Sanders has 706. And Louisiana and Georgia, they've postponed the primaries due to the Zika. Just kidding. I was checking to see if you're paying attention. And the drinking
on
game,
top.
by the way, don't start drinking yet because do we have the drinking game? Can you bring it up?
drink it.
The drinking game rules
Wait.
tonight.
If
they
I
are.
wasn't supposed to start drinking, you should have told me 2 hours ago.
Oh, geez.
Oh, no.
Well, you can drink for an Asian, which makes me think you're immune to corona because you have a different genetic profile.
I do.
His drink is a triple wild turkey or triple Jameson on the rocks.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even feel it. Let's bring up the drinking
It's kinda
game.
scary.
It's very simple. Drink whenever someone stutters, and that includes, by the way, repeating themselves or audio wave.
We're
you
gonna
said.
die.
You said what? What was the other thing?
Yeah, if Biden doesn't finish his sentence, I think
Yes.
is my,
Yeah, we're
my
dead.
addition.
If
to
Biden
this.
doesn't finish his sentence, if they
Yeah.
stutter, if they repeat themselves, drink. We didn't want to do all the buzzwords. We thought, let's keep this simple. Let us know what you're drinking tonight. Tweet me at @scrowder, and it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Not really. I don't want to do this. Oh,
I'm
look, they're coming
excited.
out.
Come on.
They're coming.
There
Are
you
they
go.
starting this? Aren't we 3 minutes early? Is that clock right? It says 8:57.
Excited. Hey, they're 5 minutes early. No, look on the clock on the TV.
That's
Where? I don't see a clock.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
see it. The camera's
Yeah,
blocking
camera's
it. for me.
blocking.
Hold on a second. You look there.
7:55 p.m. Eastern
Look,
time.
he's walking out like Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh, look at them. 6 feet apart per government mandate.
Have you seen when you see it says like the debate, the pictures, the headshots of Biden versus Bernie? It looks like a UFC Legends edition. But just like if they brought back, like if they brought back Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali to fight today, if they dug up the corpses of Frazier and Ali and put them in whiteface, it would. As a matter of fact, I still would favor them, not in a fight, in a Democratic debate. I would favor them over these two guys.
I can already tell you, Bernie's going to lose. Blue shirt, terrible.
Bernie,
Terrible.
Bernie,
Come on,
don't
get
brush
Taylor.
your hair with a balloon. It's not necessary.
Hey, but he believes in the blue.
It's like he just walked across the carpet with those wool slippers that your aunts used to, they did crochet.
Yeah.
What is with the static?
shocking
Why doesn't
everybody.
anyone just doesn't he have a wife who can just lick her hand and put it down like
His
Thumper's
look,
mom?
man. It's his look. He's going for the cure.
So here's what I think. If they're going to play it dirty, Biden would probably want to hit that Bernie is a Russian plant, because they've been talking about this quite a bit, that he's been backed
Right.
by Russia. Which should tell you, by the way, that Russia wasn't backing Donald Trump. They just want to disrupt the election. Keep in mind, back then, when you're looking at 2015 going into 2016, they just thought, New York Times gave Hillary Clinton a 99% chance of winning?
Yeah.
So they said, let's just bet on the loser so that we can keep him in the race a little bit longer and cause some disruption. They're doing the same thing with Bernie right now. It seems like there's going to be a coronation with Biden, and so the Russians, they've run, I don't know, a couple dozen dollars in Facebook ads next to 31 flavors. I don't know how consequential it is compared to the fact that Google can manipulate everything you see, hear, or do. Russian plant, the Bernie bros, obviously Elizabeth Warren brought this out. I think this has hurted Bernie quite a bit. If you look at Michigan, the reason I think Biden won Michigan, whereas Bernie won Michigan big compared to Hillary Clinton, is because Elizabeth Warren came out, and I think they thought that all of her people were going to go to Bernie.
Yeah.
And then she said, but his followers are dicks. And so then that hurt Bernie.
Right.
I think a lot of them went to Biden. I said this before Elizabeth Warren dropped out. I remember, if you go back, and I'm not doing this so I can be the Alex Jones, I was right in a prediction. I'm wrong half of the time. But I said when Elizabeth Warren drops out, everyone's expecting all of her followers to go to Bernie. I think it'll be probably a split, 50-50, maybe 60-40 Bernie. And then I think the fact that she said Bernie's guys were toxic, the white knights decided to go to Biden more. Of course, there's a socialism. Biden's more of an old school, blue dog Democrat, and I think Bernie's going to hit. I think he's going to hit Biden as establishment because that worked for Donald Trump. But if Bernie wants to win, he needs to hit Hunter Biden, Burisma, the UK,
All of the
Ukraine scandal.
Yeah.
I said UK instead of
There's a
Ukraine.
U and a K.
There's a U.
It's close.
Zika's another
enough.
virus.
Hey, I got to tell you though,
Honestly, close
I would think that the blue dog Democrats are really torn right now because remember back when Obama took office, he gave a big FU to the blue dog Democrats. Told them, I don't care what you're doing. We're going to do whatever we want to do. This is not the policy we're going to follow.
Right.
And that's exactly the line that Biden did then.
Yeah.
And now he's trying to get them back into the fold. But I think they're too smart for that. I think they look at this field and they go, there's no candidate here for us. And those folks may stay home.
I think you're right. I think something else that's really interesting to me, it'll be interesting how they handle we need a nationalized healthcare system because they've been moving with that right now, lately really saying we need a nationalized healthcare system. We'll hit some stats here tonight. This to me is proof positive that we have the only healthcare system in the world that has any semblance of hope at helping here with coronavirus. I don't understand. Hey, Italy, how about you figure it out? UK. South Korea, you save the rest of the world. The fact that
Italy's
they're
like, I'm gonna
blaming
stay
President,
inside.
right? The fact that they're blaming President Donald Trump in Italy.
Right.
Who here can blame the Italian prime minister? Who here can name the Italian prime minister after the guy stopped dating that model?
It's definitely still Mussolini, right?
Yeah, I think
That was
pretty
the
much.
first name that came to mind.
Right.
Your homeland, was it Pol Pot?
I'm pretty sure it's just.
I have no idea. It's like in China, it's still always Mao.
Yeah. You got
And
Ferrari,
Italy's
spaghetti, and that's
Mussolini.
about it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me. We are the only ones who can fix this.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't think we're going to fix this. I
We
just
have
think
the
they're going to have to run the clock out a little bit. I don't think there could be any more proof positive that, hey, we are we're the only system. Expect them to bring us up. We're the only industrialized world without a socialized healthcare system. Right. We're also the only industrialized world that we create the vast majority of drugs, and more people travel here, bar none, for medication and for experimental treatments and non-experimental treatments. If people are dying, if they need medicine, if they need health care, they come to the United States. That's what we're seeing right now with Corona. Okay, let's
here
go
we go.
now live. There are people in chairs.
Democratic presidential debate with the two leading candidates.
Give me a little more juice there, Audio Wade.
Former Vice President Joe Biden and
I can hear
Vermont
you.
Senator
I'm
Bernie
excited.
Sanders. Candidates, welcome. It's good to have you. I'm Jake Tapper, along with CNN's Dana Bash and Univision's
Oh, what happened to the
Ilya
6 feet?
Calderon.
We come
man.
together
6 feet?
tonight
Oh, yeah,
at
that's
6 feet
an
apart.
extraordinary time in our country.
What, you mean they were
when
supposed to be 6 feet
people
apart?
are
Well, they
It's
put
a
the
social
candidates 6 feet
distancing.
apart.
Right. But they look
And-
6 feet
We're in a
apart.
national
But they didn't put the host 6 feet
emergency
apart.
because of the
Oh,
devastating
that's true.
global pandemic of coronavirus.
But her
It's
mock
killed
neck is
nearly
6 inches
6,000
apart.
people around the world.
6
and
inches
Is that a
between her
mock
mouth
neck
and her
that's
eyes.
just like that?
3,000.
She does have eyes that are abnormally close together.
As a result, tonight's
Kinda
debate
piercing.
will focus heavily
Creeping
on the
me out.
crisis.
Like I would
The
imagine
setting
she
of the
doesn't have
debate
good
is also
left
different.
hook
To
evasion.
reduce unnecessary risk of
'Cause she did- you know, she
transmission
can't
of
see
the
it.
virus,
Right.
She can't see it.
CNN
Bernie would have knocked you in tomorrow, kid.
Committee and the campaigns.
That's a
moved
Mickey
this
reference.
debate
I
from
liked it.
Phoenix,
I
Arizona
liked it.
To here at CNN studios in Washington without any
Oh, this is
Wait,
the
who's speaking in
Univision.
Spanish?
This is the
So the
Telemundo.
Univision, there was originally a guy who was supposed to be on, but then he was exposed to Corona,
Right.
so they put out on a different one. Yeah.
I mean, not funny. I mean, I hope he doesn't die. You know, I hope it's just a case of the sniffles, like most people.
Each of you will have 90 seconds to answer questions and 45 seconds for responses and rebuttals. As much as we can, we hope this will be a conversation between the two of you. So let's begin with the most important
what they're
issue
calling
right
a
now,
brawl
the
now?
coronavirus and what you would do as president in the
Okay,
face
coronavirus. Here we
of
go.
it. Vice President Biden, let me start with you. We're in a reality right now that might have seemed unimaginable a week ago. Schools have been canceled for more than 25 million students. Grocery store shelves have been cleared out. March Madness, NBA games, Disney parks, Broadway, small businesses all shut down. And just today, the CDC issued a new recommendation that for the
Love how
next
they
8
shoved
weeks,
Broadway in there.
events that consist of
Everything else
50,000
affects the
people
entire
around
country.
Anybody cares.
but Broadway.
And one affects Midtown and tourists.
You can't see Wicked.
Who are
Oh my
confronted
goodness.
with
Tragedy, this whole
new
thing.
reality.
No
That is a
Lion
tragedy.
King.
My heart goes out to those who have already.
Oh, he
lost
oh!
There it is.
All right.
Oh,
Technically
man.
stutter. Drink.
Oh, man.
bigger than any one of us. This is calls for a national rallying to everybody move together. And you know, I laid out in detail what I would do if were I president today. You can go to joebiden.com and I laid it out in
Stutter.
Stutter.
Drink.
This is going to be
First of all,
rough.
have to take care of those
gonna be a long night,
are
guys.
exposed or likely
This
to
is
be
the worst
exposed
liquid
to the
porn
virus. And that
graphic
means we
sound
have
or
to
whatever
test
sound
it.
clip I've ever
Testing
heard.
kits up and ready. I would have the World Health Organization. I'd take advantage of the test kits they have available to us, even though the president says
The
a
test
million
kits.
more are coming. Let's just get all the tests we can.
By the way,
done as
CDC
quickly
had
as
test
can.
kits. We can bring this
Secondly,
up there,
I would
Red.
make sure that every
CDC had
state and
testing
union
kits,
had
but
at
because of the
least
way it
10
works in the United
places
States,
where
they had to sort of tag it.
drive-through
Almost think of it in a way to describe it, kind of like earmarks. They had to include SARS studies
okay.
or immunities in there. So we did have tests available, but they weren't released. This is another example of bureaucratic government making it more difficult. And so now they're working
slowing
with,
the process down.
Right, and now they're allowing privatized hospitals, other hospitals and private entities to help them get more testing kits out.
Right.
They could have been out ahead of this, by the way, significantly more than they are. Also, nobody remembers, Donald Trump banned travel from China. I think, was it January 22nd? It was in January.
That's right. Yeah, way early.
He said it was racist. Okay.
interest-free loans. I see my time is up here. You're going to hold us tightly, I assume. But that's what I
And yet I
Why
will
am I stopping?
continue.
Why am I stopping?
Precisely
They're going to
what I
hold
would-
me as tightly as I do my 12-year-old niece.
This morning, Dr. Anthony Fauci acknowledged
Look at that
it's
hair
possible
in the suit. He
that
looks like an
hundreds of
angry.
thousands, if
He
not
looks like the
millions of
angry
Americans
version of the
just got
Tootsie
out of
Pop
bed.
owl.
Worst-case scenario.
How many
If
licks?
you were
No
president,
one can answer that question.
what's the most
There are too many
important thing
that
you would
depend on
do
ambient
tonight?
temperature and how if the person is part of a marginalized class.
Our president is to shut this president up right now. Because he is
He just pointed to
undermining
Biden.
the doctors and scientists who are trying to help the American people. It is unacceptable for him to be blabbering with unfactual information, which is
Unfactual. I like that.
confusing. Second of all, what we need to
That's
do,
actually
I'm
out of
glad
character
that he
for
has
Bernie to
called
be that
a state of
inarticulate.
national emergency. What we have got to do is move aggressively to make sure that every person in this country,
Despite having never held a
he goes.
real
totally
job.
understands
Here he goes.
that when they get sick with the coronavirus, that they will, that all payments will be made, that they don't have to worry about coming up with money.
So
for
like
testing.
Italy.
They don't have to worry about coming up with
Right?
money for treatment.
Like Italy.
Right.
This is an
Like Italy or the UK or, as you'll talk about, any other industrialized country, right? Look at their death rates.
I will fight
Look
for
at
that
look at the wait times in Italy. I think, what was it, 10, 12 months for a neurologist? It was I don't know how many years in Canada for a general practitioner when I was raised there. Italy is a great example of what a socialized healthcare system looks like with the coronavirus. Remember when you said we were crazy talking about death panels? Reg, you can bring it up lest people doubt me, that right now they're basically saying, hey, if you're over 65, you're being put to the back of the queue because, I mean,
They got to protect.
maybe your number's up.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe your spicy number's up. Their doctors are very unprofessional.
Hey, but they got great
thousands of
meatballs.
people who may be in hospitals. So we need unprecedented action right now to deal with the unprecedented crisis. And bottom line, from an economic point of view, what we have got to say to the American people, if you lose your job, you will be made whole. You're not going to lose income. If Trump can put, or the Fed can put $1.5 trillion into the banking system, we can
Senator.
protect the wages of every worker in America.
Thank you, Senator. Vice President Biden,
By the way,
President Trump.
why do you
says he
think
does
putting
not
money
take
into the
any
banking system, as he's saying, or putting money as Donald Trump is into the economy,
responsibility
what do you think that's for?
In part because he says
It's
people
almost
not
like
understand-
it's for America.
It's almost like it's for the workers to ensure that business can continue as normal, as opposed to Bernie's view is a shovel-ready jobs, right? Bernie's view is government pays people. Donald Trump's view is let's try and equip employers, let's try and equip the financial sector so that business can continue. Bernie thinks, well, let's just take the money and give it to people. Notice right now he just said free health care for everybody, and he said anybody who takes off work will get money.
Yeah.
He didn't specify, by the way, and he never does, the clause, the pre-existing commitments, conditions there. Okay, how do they prove if they have to get off work that it was in fact coronavirus? Okay, what do we do in order for people to receive free health care if they have private insurance? And we know that this is something that was out of the ordinary due to coronavirus. It's just free for everyone, just like student loan forgiveness.
Yeah,
Student
same
loan
thing.
forgiveness depends. Was it STEMfield that then something happened that went under, or was it someone who decided to go into a gender studies program and get a master's degree? This is a problem with collectivism. It doesn't look at the individual. Not everyone should be treated the same in this kind of a crisis.
As well as what happened in Africa. We provided these hospitals dealing with these great pandemics, and we were able
And
to
Reg,
do
you
it
can just
quickly.
punch in your overlays,
And
by the way,
people
whenever.
had
I know
a
this
place
is.
to go.
yeah.
You
But
can
we
just
also have to
hit it.
provide
It doesn't
equipment
matter
to
if people
protect
don't
the
see
first
my wonderful
responders.
punim.
And that's
Yeah,
not
well, we
being
have
done
here
either.
Giving us a little
Senator
glitchy, isn't it?
Sanders,
Yeah.
on
The
that-
punching,
I'm-
and we'll fix it
I'm-
at the next commercial break.
Yeah, it's
What
probably
was that
my
number
fault.
that you brought up there, the Reg?
No, this is just the Italy closing all the shops and then advising people not to treat the elderly, and that's that's what people are acting like. If you had nationalized health care, then we'd be fine, but
Right.
Italy has it, and their death rates are off the charts.
Well, they want to act like nationalized healthcare is compassionate, just as long as you're willing to say goodbye to Nana.
Yeah.
to make sure every sick American is able to get
But I
treatment
am.
so the U.S.
Euthanasia.
does not suffer the same fate.
we don't all
as
have tiger
Italy, where doctors have to decide right now who gets life-saving treatment and who does not.
There
Jake,
we go.
let's be honest and understand.
Are we not already,
that this
Bernie?
coronavirus
That's what a mechanic says right before he screws you.
Pandemic.
I'm gonna be honest with you. What were you doing 5 minutes ago? I was lying.
Honestly, I gotta
I was absolutely lying. There's no such thing as a fill-in throw thrust device in your left tailpipe. It's not a real thing, and I was charging you $2,000 because I wanted a second honeymoon. But let me be honest with you now.
Who are uninsured or
Vote for me.
underinsured, and there are people who are watching this program tonight and saying, I'm not feeling well. Should I go to the doctor, but I can't afford to go to the doctor? What happens if I am sick? It's going to cost thousands of dollars for treatment.
Okay,
Who's going to feed my
this
kids?
is pivotal. All right, people?
We are the only major-
He's talking about some people who can't afford to go to the doctor, which, by the way, here and there, thank God that we have a private sector here, because you can pay $50, $75 to go see a doctor, for example, in Texas.
Yeah.
In states like this, you can pay $50 to go see a doctor. And by the way, a general practitioner at this point will be just as equipped to help you in this state as you would with some kind of a specialist, because we don't necessarily have a cure. We don't necessarily have a vaccine, right? So you can pay cash to go see a doctor. So the choice is, do you want some people having trouble paying the $50, $60, $75 to go see a doctor cash? Or do you want people to not be able to see a doctor at all? That's what's happening in socialized healthcare countries. That's what happens in Canada without a crisis. You can go watch my Canadian socialized healthcare video on YouTube. They told me 3 years to get a family doctor, or go to med school and look at the kids who are graduating. Look at that roster. You might be able to get one in a year and a half. Look at the wait time for a doctor in Italy. So, is it worse? Is it more immoral for people to pay cash to doctors? Or is it more immoral for people in a crisis to not be able to see a doctor at all? There are finite resources. And by the way, in these countries, they have fewer doctors. More doctors leave because they don't make enough money.
Yeah. They come to the U.S.
I would
Yes,
call
more than any other
the
country
Best
that comes to
ones
the U.S.
do.
of all the experts in America dealing with this crisis. I would
there you
sit
go.
them down and I would do exactly what we did then. What is it that we need? Listen to the experts. What do we
trying to
need?
avoid
With all
drinking
due
because I know
respect
I'm
to
gonna have to
Medicare
do a
for
lot.
Oh, it's
you
going to be
have
a
a
lot.
single payer system in Italy. It doesn't work there. It has nothing to do
Good,
Oh,
with
fine,
thanks.
good for
Oh,
you. He made a
It
point.
doesn't solve the problem at all. We can take care of that right now by making sure that no one has to pay for treatment, period, because of the crisis. No one has to pay for whatever drugs are needed, period, because of the crisis. No one has to pay for hospitalization because of the crisis, period. That is a national emergency, and that's how it's handled. It is not working in Italy right now, and
Well-
they have a single-payer system. Now, with
He
regard
just
to
repeated
what
himself,
else I would
drink.
do, the fact is that we're in a position where I would bring together the leading experts in the world. Instead of doing this in the United States, instead of doing this piecemeal, sit down and do what we did before with the Ebola crisis.
He's
What
said this
is
again.
needed, and have one voice.
I'm drinking.
One voice. Like we did every day we met on that crisis.
He just
in the
said one
situation
voice
room.
twice,
Laying out-
and Billy
so we
Gilman
lay
is somewhere
out
like, "Am I needed?"
overall what the best proposal
No,
is.
you're not needed since it came out of the closet, which, by the way, wasn't a
Where's
surprise to
it's
anyone.
my time?
know that.
It's
Doing
my
the best
time.
they can
Billy
by
Gilman.
going out and getting
The
the
four
healthcare
remaining
experts
Billy
in
Gilman
their
fans
community.
really appreciate that.
Yeah.
By the way,
It should
Crowder
be directed
Debate Stream is a promo
from
code. You get $20 off
from the
Mug Club. That's the
situation.
only way we're even able to do this.
Laying out in detail
And we might be taking off. So if we're taking off, go to the Blaze TV.
Thank you.
Link is in the
Sanders, your
description.
Well, first
That's right,
of all,
Link. First of all.
the dysfunctionality of the current healthcare system is obviously apparent. As I said earlier, there are
Talk
people
about
who hesitate,
redundant.
go to the
Couldn't you have
doctor,
just said
have
the
maze
dysfunction?
of
He didn't need to say
regulations.
dysfunctionality.
Well,
The
this is my income,
dysfunction
but that's my income.
is
Can I
apparent.
get-
He
can
said
I
what
not get-
obviously.
Dysfunction, it doesn't
Clearly,
work.
we are not
Clearly and
prepared,
obviously.
Trump
Clearly,
only
obviously apparent.
exacerbates the crisis. When we spend twice as much per capita on healthcare as any other nation, one might expect that we would have enough doctors all over this country. One might expect.
No,
that-
no, no,
Like,
no, no, no.
it's
We don't.
like we only care about this one thing that was
I know.
unforeseeable. And we don't spend any other dollars on any other life-saving treatments, the most amount of transfusions
development.
and research and new medicine and organ replacements and all of that. None of those things.
How long
Right.
did it take for him to get his stint? I think he got it within several hours. I think that's to see a cardiologist, if I'm not mistaken, in Italy is 57 days. I'm pretty sure Reg can bring that up. I think he got it in 4 hours versus 57 days. And he says, you'd think that if we're paying twice the amount that we would have enough doctors. Okay, listen, here's the problem with this, and this sounds really good to the Young Turks Network, right, and the people like that who want to go out and talk about how we spend more on healthcare and we still don't have a perfect healthcare system. Here's what matters. Do we have more doctors than Canada? Do we have more doctors than Italy? Absolutely. Do we pay more? Sure. We get exponentially better care by every objective metric available. Death rates, if you're looking at survival rates, you're looking at how many people want to come here to get treatment. You're looking at the kind of new medical innovation. It's not even close. There you go. Reg brought that up. Is it 40%? Oh, what's this? Drugs sorted by country of origin. Look,
Right.
It's not even close. You add up the other 4 countries combined. So he's holding the United States to the standard of, you think we have enough doctors to treat every single person in a crisis, but it's still way better than Italy. It's still way better than the countries that he would point to, especially if you point to any countries that have a comparable population, right? It's not really fair to necessarily compare it to Sweden or Denmark, where you have the population of Rhode Island and they all
yeah.
look the same and they all have the same genetic profile. Is that racist? No. What I'm saying is that having a similar genetic profile makes it easier to study how people react to the diseases. Just like you see the difference between a Jewish person, an Asian person, a black person, a Mediterranean person, and a Scandinavian person will have different genetic proclivities and different susceptibilities to a disease.
I mean, one of the simplest way to consider it is if you have
Asians don't wash their hands.
Well, we do. We just spread the disease anyways.
You wash them in pig guts.
Yeah, exactly. Is that not? Wait, you guys don't do that?
I don't know.
No, but when you think about a small country like Sweden, and you think about the homogenous group of people that are there, just think about the sheer number of increased number of genetic disorders we have in America as a melting pot. One of the things that is our strength, however, comes with the consequence of meaning you're going to have every single race, that every single genetic makeup, every single subtype of person or genome, all here in America,
Right.
and we have to treat them all. Sweden, a lot less.
Right, that's a good
Right.
point.
Except for the
Because they didn't get
refugees.
healthcare when they should.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we don't have universal coverage. I think that's a crisis. 1 out of 5 people in America cannot afford the prescription drugs they need They suffer. Some die. I consider that a crisis. Bottom line
More
is,
die in
we
socialized
need a
healthcare
simple
countries. Again,
system
not
which
even
exists
close.
in Canada,
Far more
exists in
people die
countries
from
all
life-threatening
over the world.
ailments
And that
throughout
is,
the world.
if
Your
you
single
are
best
an
shot at
American,
living is being in the United States, whether you're rich or poor. Bernie knows that. He's trying to hold us to a perfect standard and comparing it to a horrible one with nationalized healthcare to make an argument that the world's biggest country, well, not the biggest, one of the biggest countries as far as population. Sorry, I know we got
No,
China.
but think about this. I mean, he what you just said is exactly right. He compares the American healthcare system to a perfect standard where everyone can get everything they need all the time. But his solution is not a perfect system.
No.
His solution is a demonstrably worse system. I mean, this is why Bernie is pushing people who are willing to scratch the surface to get below the sound bites, and he's pushing them to all the other candidates. It's just none of it makes any sense.
Yeah, plus he farts.
A crisis. This is like
I think we
are
all do,
being
Stephen.
attacked.
Not to that degree.
This is
Deep
something
down.
that
Not
has
at that
a great
rate.
consequence. This is like a war. And in a war, you do whatever is needed to be done to take care of your people. And what you do is you... And
Wait,
I
is that
proposed it
nationalism?
That's what I was about to say.
Oh,
Is that
yeah, hold
white
up.
nationalism, Joe?
He just said Italy sucks. He just said your people.
Would be free.
Is his pendant? Is
paid
this little?
for
Is
by
it a
the
Pepe
taxpayers
frog?
generally. It has nothing to do with Bernie's Medicare for all. And by the way,
Vice President Biden, thank you.
That was three stutters. Three drinks.
3 drinks.
One.
Would you deploy the U.S.
See, now another thing
Two.
that you want to mention.
virus and its
Hold on, twin sitter. 3.
You should be drinking that movie.
I remembered it was very bad.
Watch it. That's good.
What?
No, the other thing to look at here is that when Bernie says 1 in 5 can't afford it, the study that came from said 1 in 5, or roughly 20%, asked their doctor for a cheaper drug.
I asked my doctor for a cheaper drug, no matter what the drug is.
So that, I mean,
Call that a fall?
I usually just ask him,
That's a
"Hey, what
little-
cheap drugs are available?" And he goes, "Well, for what?" I say, "For anything, preferably
Yeah.
fun."
So you get a group of coupon clipping Karens in a room. They all say, "Hey, is there a cheaper one, Doc?" Oh my gosh, we've got a crisis now because
Yeah.
people are asking, like all good Americans should, for something cheaper if it exists.
Like a sensible
And by the way,
person?
we were obviously at the forefront of generic drugs. We didn't have that when we were in Canada. You can ask Johnny Boy. When I moved here to the United States, because we did have subsidized prescriptions, and for name brand drugs, it was less expensive. You still had to pay for about 70% of the drugs that you wanted. But
Beer's
when we
getting you.
moved, we did not have when we moved to the United States, it was relatively new that there were $4 generics at Walmart. Now all the pharmacies have them here. We didn't have that in Canada.
Now they're
and we were
everywhere.
dumbfounded. We were like, "What? You have $4 prescriptions?" We had never heard of it. All right, let me watch.
Okay.
now they have the capacity to provide this surge help that hospitals need and that is needed across the nation. I would make sure that they did exactly what they're prepared to do. They've done it. They did it in the Ebola crisis. They've done it. They
By
have
the way, don't you love how he
capacity
mentions
to build
Ebola and not swine flu?
500-bed hospitals.
Because there was no,
Yeah.
when people talk about this department, what the task force, what was the term there, Reg? The task force of people who are specialized, pandemic task force, which is really just 12 guys in a room going like, oh, this is going to get bad. They didn't have it until after Ebola.
Yeah.
They didn't have it after swine flu.
they said it, yeah.
Barack Obama didn't have it going into Ebola. He had it after Ebola. Barack Obama declared a national emergency with the swine flu after 1,000 people were killed. Donald Trump did it,
That's
I
right.
think, somewhere between 36
30,
and 50.
yeah.
Yeah, and
It was low.
he banned travel really early on. He took every precautionary measure that you can, short of declaring a national emergency. He declared a public state of emergency, I think.
Donald Trump can't do anything right. Anything he does is wrong because his name is Donald Trump. That's
Pretty much.
it.
Pretty much. And he does do a lot of wrong
I
stuff.
think what bottom line here is that in
Not as
this
much as these
crisis,
assholes.
we've
Frankly,
got to
some of the
start paying
wrongest.
attention to the most vulnerable. That includes people who are in prison right now, people who are in homeless shelters right now. What about the 500,000 people who are homeless tonight? Who's going to respond to them? Now, in 2008, when we had the Wall Street bailout, they did very well for the people on top. They bailed out the crooks on Wall Street. They forgot about the suffering of ordinary Americans. This time around, let us learn that lesson.
Hold on.
Let us pay attention.
I'm sorry, Bernie. You're saying that the U.S. government does nothing?
Hold that thought. I want to hear
Again, I lay
Biden's.
out in detail. What we should be doing now is we should be surging help to those places which are the most vulnerable. We should have every single person that's in a nursing home.
So New York,
being able
Los
to be
Angeles,
tested.
liberal
We should be
strongholds.
moving
Yeah.
forces
Where they
in
want to
do
get you
that.
into
We should
massive
move in the
cities and use
capability.
public transit
We
and
should
actually
be
make it
sitting
harder
down
for you
sitting
to
down and
use your own
discussing
vehicles, as you
right
see
now.
recently in the New York Times, I believe it was, an article saying that, hey, oil is too cheap. People are driving their SUVs. We need to create price fixing effectively. We need to inflate the prices of gas so that people will start getting on public transit. So New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, the places where you have hobos pissing in the subway,
Now
or
they're like
crapping in the
distance,
streets.
social distancing. Everybody get away from each other.
And it's going to take a multi-billion-dollar program to do that. But first things first. The first thing is take care of the immediate needs.
Stutter.
we have
First
now,
things first, the first thing.
Surging the kind of
Drink.
capability we have to prevent this great.
For those who are just tuning in,
terms of
the
this,
drinking game is
how
drink
it's
every time
gonna
they
cause
stutter
such
or repeat themselves
pain,
or just,
as well as
generally
moving in the
seem
direction
out of
making
sorts.
sure
I'm pretty confident
Thank
Joe
you, Mr.
Biden is
President.
just
We're gonna
repeating
talk
poorly
about
written
more
CNN
economic
articles over and over again.
Yeah.
Like he's describing the graphics, not really well.
Poorly
And then
written
he's just-
CNN.
He's just
is
reading the
a little
lower
redundant.
ticker.
Yeah.
And then when it says like Joe Biden, Democratic national candidate, he's like, Joe Biden, huh? Why'd I stop?
role in this global crisis?
Well, one of the consequences is we have got to learn that you cannot lie to the American people.
Oh, okay, I want to hear this.
You cannot be less than frank about the nature of the crisis.
Who lied about the
that's
crisis?
lying.
And what bothers me very much is you have a president of the United States today, Mr. Trump, who is praising China for the good work that they are doing, when in fact, as you indicated, they were lying to their own people and allowing that virus to move much more aggressively.
You guys said
than
it was
should have been the
racist
case.
to put
Look,
the
I
travel
don't
ban
think
on
this is the time for
China.
information.
Could you believe if he said China is
Yeah.
terrible?
By
There's
the
been
way,
no
to be
president who's been more strict on China than Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's almost a catchphrase. China, China, China. The Chinese. Sorry, but they're not honest. Not all Chinese, but the Chinese government. But a lot of Chinese. The Chinese, right? And now he's giving Donald Trump crap for not saying the Chinese are lying about everything.
They're moving the goalpost.
You guys
every
were
time.
upset that he banned travel from China. He did it immediately in January.
Every time Trump pokes the bear with China and decides to go into a battle with them, oh, he's about to set off World War III. We're going
Right.
to get another trade war. Oh, my God, I can't believe a large trade burn. It's so angry. Oh, my God. And then as soon as he does anything okay,
They're like,
I can't
Biden dementia here. Here we go, Bernie's got SARS here. Ebola, Zika, we got Ebola number one. That's what you sounded like.
that is what it sounded like.
Well, the funny thing
That's
is,
what they sound like.
I don't know
It's
if you guys.
exactly the case.
I don't know if you guys remember, but Bernie Sanders was just in hot water. He said that, China had done more than any other country to address extreme poverty. And so, I mean,
This is why we have the
he's
beast red
carrying
here.
water
There
for
it is.
them
Things that I
just a
forget.
couple
So
of
good.
debates ago. Anyway,
The bottom
memory
line
of a
here
goldfish.
Yeah.
is that in the midst of this crisis, we have got to act in an unprecedented way. And that means every country on earth is going to be affected. Every country on earth has got to work together. It also means that we tell
You can't
the
even work with your
pharmaceutical
own president. It's like every country has to
We all
work
have to work
together
together.
after I took a big steaming shit on our commander-in-chief. But the rest of you play nice.
You know what's crazy is he can't even play well with his own party.
It's
Right,
true.
yeah.
in so many
Yeah, I know.
including
As seen by the
in terms
chain
of
gang you tried to send after Elizabeth Warren.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. Obviously, another part of this story is
I did
the
not
economy,
expect that
which
voice
is
out of that
learning
lady.
From this pandemic.
Mr. Telemundo
Many
lady.
economists
I know,
are
but I still didn't
warning
expect
of
it.
a
I expected her to sound like Candace
recession.
Owens.
Just hours ago, the Federal Reserve
is uncanny.
cut interest rates to near 0%, which has not happened since the financial crisis in 2008.
Biden looks like he's about to
Vice
say.
President
No, I'm sorry.
Biden
What was that?
watched-
He's completely forgotten why he's there.
Is make it clear to the world and make it clear to the United States that we are going to have a major bailout package, that we do not reward corporations, we reward individuals who in fact are really put to the test here. The problem is the policies of this administration economically.
How about we don't bail out anyone?
Wait, what was the plan? I
ability for
feel
us
like
to
he just
use
said
the levers
nothing.
that
We're gonna
we
give people money.
have been used up by this.
We're not gonna bail out
god-awful tax
corporations
code
because they're made up
$1.9
of
trillion by the fact that we have
sharks.
used the federal little
Mannequins.
We're not going to
Mannequins.
bail out corporations that consist of primarily marsupials because that money should go to humans.
But echidnas, we're totally on board with echidnas.
You know, you can't be spending money on chinchillas willy-nilly. That should go to a person.
Only chihuahuas.
The Chihuahua.
All their medical bills,
Starter,
their care
drink.
relating to this, etc. We have to go beyond that. And we're going to have to be in a situation where we're meeting on a daily basis like
my
we've been in
back.
the middle of a financial crisis.
No, not
to
again.
decide how we are going to find
little
the
Bic.
wherewithal and the money to be able to see to it we hold all these folks harmless, but not do what Trump wants to do. For example, he came along and said, I got a great idea. You're going to tell me.
Senator
Stutter, lost his train of thought.
Oh, man.
Oh no.
I got a great idea.
I love
I
how
pooped.
he doesn't know how to read the clock. It's like he gets to the end of the time every time, which is the same amount of time, and he goes, "Oh, dang!"
Do you know what I would do?
Ran out of time again.
You know what I would do if I were in charge of that, just to make Biden
would
look
you do?
bad?
Please.
I would make it. I just realized I just forgot the term. I would make it a manual clock, a non
An analog.
Oh, like a
analog
chess?
clock.
Yeah.
I would make it an analog clock.
Ah.
Yeah, probably would have confused me. But what is that, manual? Analog. You're smarter than me, Joe Biden. I'd make it an analog clock, and it would guarantee that he loses every debate.
You're not worried about health care. You're not worried about
Fox
income
News, if you're
coming in.
listening, when you handle the national debate,
Half of
it's
our
analog
people are
clock.
living paycheck to paycheck. We got people who are struggling, working 2 or 3 jobs to put food on the table. What is gonna happen to
Bullshit!
them?
It's
So the
okay. This is.
lesson
I'm sure
you
Reg can bring this up. It's 4%. The average American work week right now, by the way, for the highest pay ever, is 34 hours a week and about 4-point-something%. I don't have sources in front of me. You can see this is basically just some talking points that I expected them to hit. I think it's 4.2%, 4.4% of Americans work 2 jobs. Still, the national average work week is 34 hours. When was the last time you saw a 34-hour work week? I think I might have been 17 years old mowing lawns, and even then, you'd have to give me 36. This is a lie. This is a lie. Americans are making more than ever before. They're working reasonable hours, and fewer Americans are working 2 jobs than under Barack Obama. Certainly at the beginning of his presidency. What's the source rate? Is it 4.82?
4.52?
4.82.
4.82. Sorry, I was off by 0.4%.
Oh no.
Now and put in
Which the
process
CDC
a
calls
system whereby
insignificant,
all
'cause-
are made whole. That has nothing to do with the legitimate concern about income equality in America. That's real. That's real. But that does not affect the
Repeated
need for
himself.
us to
Drink.
act swiftly and very thoroughly and in concert with
I can't do this
all the
anymore.
forces that we need to bring to
it's
bear
just started.
to deal with the crisis now. So no one's thrown out of their home. No one loses their mortgage. No one is kicked out of their house. No one
This sounds a
loses their
lot
paycheck.
like what
No one is
helped
in a
create that
position where
financial
they
crash
have
of 2008, by the way.
significant
They want to act like it was
financial
predatory lending. No, it was the government saying no one should go without a home. Everyone gets a home. And then afterward, remember, it was no one gets kicked out because the banks wanted to foreclose. My parents had to put like 25% down at a crazy, crappy mortgage because people were being kept in their homes because the government was supposed to determine who are winners and losers. This is unreal to me. They're making the exact same mistakes. If people don't know, and I know a lot of millennials will go, okay, boomer. Well, let's remove boomers. Go Gen X. I'm millennial, slightly older millennial. Go look up Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Go see what happened with the housing crisis. Sure, the banks took advantage, but the idea that predatory lending is a thing. Ooh, you know what? I have a great. Someone said at Bank of America, the CEO. I got an idea. All right, we're gonna go give money to people who have no chance of paying it back. That's a business model? No, unless you know they're guaranteed by the government. And even more than that, the government was actually putting pressure, leveraging them to give loans to people who had no chance of paying it back. So then they bundled it together, basically with lesser risky loans, and they started. This is what created the market crash. It was started with good intentions by the government, okay? That is the root of the housing crash. And you know who avoided it? Crazy enough? Canada. Crazy liberal, almost socialist Canada because of Stephen Harper. That's why he's their Ronald Reagan. They are socialists. They are far to the left of the United States. And they said, what? We're not going to, why would we give a loan to someone who can only put 8% down? That's absurd. We're not going to do that. That'll cause some kind of a housing bubble. They didn't do it. We did it because leftists in the House and in the Senate said, you know what? We really think that everyone should get a house. Yeah, but some people can't afford that house. We don't really care. It's almost like you're not fiscally responsible. You don't understand how economics work. That's pretty what we're in the Democratic Party.
More training, more equipment to save the first responders as well. In addition to that, we then have to also look at what are the immediate needs right today. How about that person who's been laid off today? How about that person who doesn't have an income today? They have to know that tomorrow.
Did you hear that, by the
when
way?
paycheck
Not
comes
joking,
due,
because
you will
we
get
talked about
that
Biden's
paycheck.
dementia and his cognitive decline early on, and now it's kind of a meme. But I'm not talking about just the stuttering; it's the weird slurring. It's about the thing. It's like if you watch some boxers or you watch some old football players who are what they call punch drunk. You see that with Biden a little bit. Listen to not just the stutters and the ones that are obvious, but the consistent sort of slurring of the words.
I mean, you take enough town hall participants out back, you're going to get punch drunk.
In the 2008 financial crisis, many believe
do some push-ups.
those spending
Plus,
bills
he
were
also
a
he keeps
crucial
hitting his
part
face when he's doing the
of
push-ups because he doesn't have the.
stabilizing
He
the
passes
doesn't
out
have
and slams his
Using
face in the
those
ground.
bailouts for
He's just like
industries that have
1,
been
ha,
by the coronavirus
2,
outbreak.
ha.
You're quite right. I voted against the bailout because I believed that the illegal behavior being done by the people on Wall Street should not be rewarded by a bailout. And today,
Totally
by the way,
agree.
those
That's how the
banks
Tea Party was
are more
started. Came from a
prosperous
rant from Rick
and
Santelli.
own
We
more
were
assets
anti-bailout
by
before
and
you
large
ran on it.
than they did back then. They're bigger now than they were then. I thought at the time that in the midst of massive income and wealth inequality, the people on top, the surtax on the
He really
very
likes
wealthy
saying in the
should
midst.
bail out.
Have you
And it's
noticed
not just
that?
a
In the
talk
midst.
bailout.
Gorillas
midst.
We gave
in the
trillions
midst.
of dollars in zero interest
I watched
loans to
the
large
film,
banks.
The-
But
The
to
Mist.
answer your question, where we are right now, we
What
need to
an awful
stabilize
film.
the economy. But we
Though I wouldn't
can't
mind seeing
repeat
Bernie in the
what we
ending.
did in 2008.
Blam, blam, blam!
They
Click,
voted
click,
for that.
click, click,
I
ah!
voted
Click, 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 ah! And then you find out that you didn't need to do it.
You know, what I think one of the fundamental interesting
I
parts.
don't want Bernie to kill himself. The whole point is the guy does not kill himself. He runs out of ammo.
One of the fundamental questions here is if you give money to workers versus you give money to industries or companies who are the employer so that they can continue to pay a wage, what has the short and long-term best effect for America and for rewarding people who are working? It's allowing them to continue to work. Most people would say, I want to work.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want a handout. And that's one of the interesting things I think that Bernie continues to miss is he listens to the Bernie bros who say free, 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 gimme, gimme, gimme. And he forgets that the rest of America, the people who love America, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a centrist, whether you're a conservative,
Oh,
they
don't
want
play
to
your
work.
bullshit fair and balanced here. But every now and then Bill will be like, all right, listen, we gotta pull it back. But that's a good point. Both Biden, sorry, not both Bernie and Donald Trump are kind of popular.
Wait, Steven stuttered. Drink.
Both Bernie and Trump are kind of populists. But it's interesting to me because I didn't think Donald Trump could make this work. He started off as a populist, sort of appealing to the Rust Belt. Their populist argument with Donald Trump is empowering. It's, look how good things are. You're going to get a job. We're going to make things more affordable. You're going to get pay increases. Bernie's populist argument is, I'm going to give you stuff. I'm not going to help the employers. I'm going to give you money. And it's interesting
You can't
that
earn it.
Right.
I will give it to you.
because that stems from, remember Barack Obama, you didn't build that. So you have a guy on this stage who was the VP of you didn't build that, and then you have another guy saying we hate corporations, we're going to give money to the people who make up corporations. And by the way, I'm not arguing in support of the bank bailouts at all. But I'm saying if you were trying to keep an economy afloat, giving it solely to employees and not taking into account employers, and by the way, that's a lot easier to do. You don't have to give them money, you can provide them tax relief. You can provide employers incentives. I can tell you this, with the tax cuts that happened from Donald Trump, we employed 3 more people at this company.
True.
And it's a small company. We only have 15 employees, right? A bigger company, every single business has gone on a hiring spree across the board. I don't mean every single one. You'll find one business, but statistically, it has been an unbelievable. That's why we have unemployment at, was it 3.8 right now? But we have labor force participation rate at an incredible high. We have layoffs at an all-time low because businesses can be directly affected by tax policy. So you have 65% of Americans. That includes workers and business owners. And by the way, business owners, that's redundant, business owners are workers, but business owners and workers have a lower tax burden, and so it's reinvested into the business, they'll put it into R&D, they'll put it into bringing on more employees. That benefits everybody. So people who say trickle down is a myth, it's the same people who try to say the Star Wars missile defense system from Ronald Reagan was a myth because that's what they coined it. Conservatives don't use the term trickle-down economics the way that the leftists have tried to frame it. But the idea that, hey, the government can't really solve everything, but something that they can do is make sure that they get out of the way so that the people who drive this economy, businesses, can hire more people, they can invest more in their companies. That will be what's best for everyone long term. That is the difference between conservatism and liberalism. And so when people say, "Oh, I'm just down the middle, man. I just take it issue by issue," you do need to have a macro worldview through which you view all of these policies. Give people stuff because you believe the government can solve every problem. That's what Italy believed. That's what Greece believed. That's what the UK believes. Or, you know what? The government's not that great at solving every individual problem in people's lives. Let's get out of the way and try and create an environment where they can make the most and best decisions for themselves. And it's just crazy to me that they're both sort of populist arguments. Donald Trump has a positive populist argument. Despite his tweets, I get they can be mean, they can be crappy. But Donald Trump, think of this for a second. If the economy isn't doing well, if people don't believe that they can do better than they did 2 years ago, Donald Trump doesn't win re-election. If people do believe that they're doing well, and if people are hopeful and optimistic, Bernie Sanders cannot win the election.
It's true.
Yeah.
We're undocumented people who try to do the right thing. They're sick. They want to go to the doctor. They don't want to spread this disease. Are now standing and thinking about whether ICE is going to deport them. So one of the things that we have to do is to make sure that everybody feels comfortable.
Is it me? Sorry, that's stutter. I know you guys have to drink. But is it me? Don't we want to deport undocumented people coming into this country when we're talking about a crackdown on a virus?
Right.
Shouldn't we know who's here?
I even think Joe's having that exact same thought. Oh, he's on board now. Never mind.
I mean, is it? Am I not compassionate if I say, well, of course you shouldn't be coming here illegally right now. Of course we need to be even tighter at the borders.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't just be me, right?
Stephen, that's racist.
The 1.8
Senator, thank you. We're going to talk about
They could be white people.
in a minute, but first I want to
I love how there's only two of them, and yet they're still speaking over each other.
Yeah.
This crisis, we know that people over the age of 60 and those with underlying medical
They show Bernie. We know that people over the age of 60 that come to Bernie, or 80.
vulnerable to coronavirus and are being asked to change their behavior to protect themselves. So Senator Sanders, I'll start with you. You're 78 years old. You had a heart attack.
Outing him like that,
what
that's
are you doing
messed
to
up.
protect yourself?
Well, a great deal. I mean, last night we had
Trojan minis.
a fireside chat, not a rally. I love doing rallies, and we bring many thousands of people out to our rallies. I enjoy it very much. We're not doing that right now. In fact, our entire staff is working from home. So on a personal level, what we're doing is, I'm not shaking hands. Joe and I did not shake hands. And I am very careful about the people I am interacting with.
Well, that's just
I'm
because he
using
grabbed
a
the
lot of
12-year-old's ass.
soap and,
His hands were
hand
occupied.
sanitizers to make sure that I do not
He
get
stuttered
the-
like 50 times
Yeah,
here
we
with the
got
uhs. We have to count that. Drink.
Thank God right now I do not have any
You should have done beer,
symptoms,
not
and I
whiskey.
feel very,
You have to drink.
Grateful
Oh,
for
I'm
it.
drinking.
it's not
Vice
safe.
President Biden, you're 77. What are you doing to protect yourself?
Well, fortunately,
Fighting
I don't have
everybody.
any underlying conditions you talked about.
Fortunately, I don't have any
Shut
underlying
up a
conditions
minute.
other than
Number two, thank
retardation.
God, for the time being, anything can happen.
I went to my
Normally, we say
doctors. I
knock
said
on
I don't
wood,
have
that
dementia.
I'm in
I'm
good
just
health.
retarded.
I'm taking all
So
the
take that for what it's
precautions
worth.
whether they're 30 years old or 60 years old or 80 years old. And that is, I want to make sure that I do not shake hands any longer.
Stutter. I do not
engage.
drink.
We did the same thing. Our staff is all working from home. We are not doing rallies any longer. We're doing virtual rallies.
Come on, you weren't doing rallies anyway.
We're in a situation where now I do not, as I said, when we encounter people.
When they said,
we're
"Hey,
not
Biden,
going
this
in
Corona
crowds.
thing, we're not
And
going to be
so
able
I'm
to do
taking
rallies
all
anymore,"
the
he said, "Oh,
precautions
thank
everyone
God."
else should be
The
taking.
Twitter videos were making the TikToks.
It was taking me down.
I carry with me, as a matter of
Thank
fact.
God.
I'm
So
gonna
no
back
one's going to
outside
see me
here
at
hand
the
sanitizer.
Hyatt
I don't know how many
Schenectady
times
Ballroom
I
B
do that.
empty
I make
anymore.
sure I don't touch
Thank
my face,
the Lord.
and so on. So I'm taking all the precautions we're told everybody else to take.
Let's turn to the race more broadly now. Throughout this campaign, you've each laid out starkly different.
I actually do
visions
appreciate that Biden
for
does
how to
stop,
bring about change.
even though I know it's just because he's run out of mental runway. I do appreciate that he's doing it. By the way, promo code is Crowder Debate Stream.
Yes.
$20 off. Is there anything we've missed thus far, Reg the Beast?
What the country needs or wants.
No, I think we're good.
Yeah.
What's the revolution going to do? Disrupt everything in the meantime? Look, Bernie talks about, the senator talks about his Medicare for all. He still hasn't told you how he's going to ever get it passed. He hasn't told you how, in fact, there's any possibility of that happening. He hadn't told you how much it's going to cost. He hadn't tell you how it's going to apply. It doesn't kick in for 4 years even after it passes. We want a revolution. Let's act now. Pass the Biden health care plan, which takes Obamacare, restores all the cuts made to it, subsidizes it further.
That's actually a good
provides
answer, though,
lower
for
drug
Biden right now.
prices.
Yeah.
It
Make
is.
sure
That's actually a
there's
strong
no
way to
hidden
frame it.
bills. Make sure that we invest, what I want to invest $50 billion in dealing with underlying diseases that are of great consequence, diabetes,
Diseases that are
Alzheimer's, and cancer.
Either he's
Make
drunk
sure
or there's
that we have
something
a
going
Medicare
on.
option that's in a public option providing Medicare.
Stutter.
We can
Drink.
do that now. I can get that.
For those just
back.
tuning in, the game
I
is if
can
they
get
stutter,
that
repeat
done
themselves,
to my
or
fine
generally
president of the United States of America.
generally
That would be a
portray any sort of
fundamental
signs of
change, and it
cognitive
happens
decline.
now. I can tell you from
Imbibe.
experience being a significant
There's gonna come a
consumer
time
of
where
healthcare
legally I
with my
require that we
sons,
no
my
longer do
family,
this.
all the things
yeah,
we've
it's
gone
probably
through.
true. I
What
think the
people
time has
want
passed,
is
but
hope
we
and
don't
need
care.
now. Not 4
But I am
years from
drinking,
now.
too.
And Bernie still hasn't told us how he's going to pay for it.
You said
Stutter.
that already.
Bernie still hasn't cost. That one doesn't even make any sense. Drink.
All right, look, let's do something that is very rarely done in the Congress. Let's do something that the media doesn't do. Let's talk about the reality of American life. Why is it that over the last 45 years, despite the huge increase in productivity and technology, the average worker today is not making a nickel more in real dollars?
Bull crap.
Why is
Bull
it that
crap.
over the last
Reg, let's bring this up.
30
It's not even
years,
close. We've
the
seen the
richest
greatest
1%
wage increase, by the way,
$21 trillion
under Donald Trump. Okay, significantly. Now, that's even using their standards. Okay, this is something we've done a whole video on this. Their standards is average hourly income, as opposed to, I believe it's average individual earnings annually. That is more accurate of an indicator. Why? Because average annual income is different from an hourly job. For example, someone flipping a fillet of fish today isn't necessarily worth more to a company than someone flipping a fillet of fish tomorrow, right? That job, adjusted for inflation, should pay about the same market rate. But individuals tend to get their biggest raises right at that point of about middle age, in their 30s, maybe early 40s, late 20s, because that's when they move up. Then it stabilizes because they find themselves in a job that's relatively stable. This also applies to people, of course, who are going to college, right? They may be working menial tasks, menial jobs. Then they get a huge pay increase. So that is the rate. I think we have it from American Enterprise Institute or Brookings. I'm not entirely sure. That's the metric that matters, and it's consistently been over 5%. So people do make more today. But even using their standards, their average hourly wages, it's gone up, I believe, 5% under Donald Trump, as opposed to somewhere between 2.5% and 3% under Barack Obama. And here's the thing. If I'm not entirely accurate with those numbers, Reg will bring them up. I know that I'm pretty damn close. I know it's closer than him saying Americans aren't making a nickel more. Which, by the way, is just short of him talking about how all he got was an orange in his stocking and liked it.
I mean, in all fairness, he's still living in the 20s. So
Right.
a nickel to him is like paying for a Cadillac.
Right, there you go. Oh, we have that chart that shows wage growth. Yeah.
Number one. My average contribution is $44. Just this month, I've raised $33 million. Average contribution, $51. The idea that this is Bernie's implication is somehow
stutter?
I'm
Does that
being
count?
funded by
Yeah,
millionaires.
yeah, we need a drink
Well,
on
look,
that.
In the last Super Tuesday,
right,
and
we're
before
gonna
that,
have a new
Bernie
rule for the
outscored
second
two,
hour.
three,
We're gonna-
four,
yeah,
five,
I mean, we chose a
six,
77 and
I still won.
78-year-old. I mean, these are.
I still won.
Garcon, I'm going to need another beverage.
It's
I'm going to
good
go
that
the
you
other
had an
direction of
idea
Bill. I'm going to
30
go
years
stronger
ago.
because this
I
is
don't wanna join you. Why
a
don't you
very
join
boring
me?
debate.
Switching
Why
to
don't you get rid
Fanta.
of the super PAC that you have right now, which is running
I mean,
very ugly.
Univision, they're co-hosting.
Don't laugh, Joe. That's just the truth. Again, just want you to say right now, go on television and say, hey, you know what? I think in the past, Joe, if I'm not mistaken, you condemned super PACs. Is that correct?
You get rid of the 9 super PACs you have?
I don't have.
Oh! Joe Biden's a pimp!
No, I won't give you a
Joe
break
Biden,
on
make
this
him do
one, Joe.
push-ups.
You condemned
Make him do push-ups.
super PAC.
Go in. He's on the ropes.
Do it.
This is the point. In the richest
Is
country
it just
in the
me, or does
history
Bernie
of the
Sanders
world,
have, considering
half
how
of people
scrunched he
should not be
is,
struggling
he's like a human
to put
scrunchy,
food
but he has
on
really
the
long
table.
arms, like
And
the ghost of
reason
Christmas
for that
Future in A
is you
Christmas
have
Very-
a political
Christmas
structure
Carol.
He's
Like,
got good.
in which not only dominate the political system, but dominate our economy as well. Somebody makes a decision. We're gonna
I can
shut
say
down
it
a
because he's
factory in
white.
America. We're
Bernie
gonna move
Sanders
to
is built
China.
like an
We're gonna move to
orangutan.
Mexico, pay
very
people
good deadlift
starvation
leverages.
wages.
Very good
This is
deadlift
the
levers.
that
I have
the
long arms
ultimate
and short
deal.
femurs,
Who has the power
so I
in
can
America?
pull a
Of
lot from the
content with
floor.
So few exercising so much power when so many people have given up on the political process.
I proposed a significant change in the tax code, and I've been proposing it for a long, long time. Number one. Number two.
Well, you changed
it's
the tax
not
code when
just
you were
about
president. Guess what?
taxing
Income
the super
sucked.
wealthy. It's about making sure everybody pays their fair share. For example, I can
Oh,
pay
that's
for my
disgusting.
whole
Get outta
health
here.
plan
See what you did there.
by
Get your
changing
Corona-
the way in
Ah.
which we deal with
Oh,
capital
yeah.
gains.
Here
I
we
get the
People should
gag,
pay
but I
their
hate that I'm going to
capital
have to
gains
drink
based on
Corona
income
beer.
taxes. And not at 20%.
I'm excited.
That would raise $800 billion. Pay for
Thank
my
you, Gib.
entire
Gibby was nice enough. He just poured me a
plan,
half beer
which would
because he
cover
knows that I
everyone.
hate Corona.
The fact of the matter is, everything I call for, I pay for.
Oh, you still have your
And
beer?
I
Then
do
you haven't
not
been drinking
believe
with the
I have
stutters there, Audio
supported
Wade.
Yeah, I'm a little
exorbitant
behind.
tax cuts for the wealthy.
Son
I
of a bitch.
strongly oppose.
Promo
the-
code is
the,
Crowder
the tax
Debate
cut to this
Stream.
president's pay
Crowder
of
Debate Stream, of course, if we get kicked. I don't think we're going to get kicked off.
$1,900
By the way,
And I said at the
this is
time,
totally unrelated. Have you guys noticed that since we got litigious,
Look,
we haven't had any of our streams removed?
That's
We've been
true.
showing this thing full screen.
That's true.
Yeah.
speaking of
There's no reason that we shouldn't be removed.
Yeah.
Yes, there are lots of reasons we shouldn't be
Don't
removed.
say that.
I mean, there are lots of
Whoever's listening right now,
I'm saying whatever
please
the
do not
automated
remove us.
system is.
That was not an admission.
I'm just saying, as far as how we broadcast this is the same as before.
As before.
But since we sent in the half Asian Kraken, we don't get removed. So thank you, Bill.
There were no admissions.
The Corona.
No admissions.
My point is, the Corona has made it. You've made it work.
They don't want to get close to me.
Yeah, they don't want to get the virus, man.
All right. America, go to the website right now. Go to the YouTube right now.
Go to the YouTubes.
Hey, I'm gonna promote into that. Okay.
I'm gonna pee. Everyone was joking about how tonight's debate was gonna be two old guys, and there's such a lack of self-awareness. Go on the YouTube and look it up. Like you'd think they would like that would be a part of my debate prep.
Yeah.
Would, like, do not say the YouTube.
Don't say the anything.
Yeah, no, don't know thus.
on his desire to try to privatize and/or cut Social Security,
Okay.
and understand how he manipulated an
No. all right.
Oh,
Joe,
a
let me repeat it again.
manipulator.
I want you just to.
That's not what they say on the books of faces.
I'm saying that
It's called
The
face.
MySpaces.
It's called face space.
He just stuttered, by the way. And I stuttered while saying stutter. Everyone better drink. Audio. The levels better be all over the map. That's how I'm going to know that Audio Wade is doing his job.
Is that true or is that
No,
not
it's
true?
not true. What
That is
Ah,
not true.
Corona.
Ooh, I like that.
Tastes like a skunk's asshole.
Direct rebuttal.
Taking place, how to deal with the deficit. Everything was on the table. I did not support any of those cuts in Social Security.
Close your mouth,
or in
Bernie.
veterans
Whoa,
benefits.
whoa, whoa.
Hold up. Whoa, hey.
Including in your
This is very much like two old people at brunch.
No, you know things are getting real when they don't even bother with, like, directing their comments. Like, they're just facing each
Look
other.
at the body language right now. Biden is looking at the moderator, and Bernie's looking at Biden.
You just contradict Joe. You just.
Hey, I just realized the 6 feet isn't for Corona. It's so that they can't lunge at each other.
Well, yes, there was a reason why I was worried about the deficit. Maybe that's good reason, maybe it's not. All that I am saying is you were prepared to cut and advocated for the cuts of
Let's
programs.
just
So let me-
I did not. I never voted to cut.
I did
Social
not.
That's not what I
never
said.
voted. But look, I voted to
Stutter and interruption. That's a big drink.
The debate with Paul.
Oh, don't you
Bryan
dare drink that
for
out
the
of anything
vice
other than mug.
presidency.
Oh, you still have
Look
whiskey,
at what
you
I
said it.
did. And Bernie,
Don't let
when
that
you
Corona
acknowledge
touch the mug.
Your campaign
I'm
took
wrapping
out of
my hand on
context
it like
that
this.
whole
Oh,
exchange
it's so
between
disgusting.
Paul Ryan. Are you saying PolitiFact is wrong? Are you saying?
Yeah, well, believe me, the Washington Post PolitiFact is wrong a whole lot of times.
No, are they
hold on.
wrong on that, Bernie?
Oh, hey,
Joe,
PolitiFact. In case you were just wondering, Bernie called you a liar.
Yeah, just
I
called
want
you
to
out.
just, you know, say something about it.
No, you didn't.
And Washington
One more
Post,
time.
give him some
When you on the
Pinocchios.
floor,
Actually, you know what?
For good
Just give him
measure,
some Geppettos. I feel like he's the kind of guy. First off, he is the kind of guy. Bernie is. He's the candidate who create a marionette that has to go to Fantasy Island, and Joe Biden is the guy who would be hiding in Pleasure Island in the bushes. Like in that, you know, in the old,
He'd
what
be
are those
the
things
fox.
where you put your face through so you look like those characters? It'd just be Joe Biden, like, huh?
Senator,
Yeah.
you brought up
Huh?
Social Security, and you've been
He's that
talking,
charlatan.
About it.
Watching
I wanna
kids on the
ask you
roller
about
coaster hoping their
something
skirt
you wrote
blows
in
up.
1996, you were a member of the House, and you wrote an op-ed that said, quote, "It is clear we will have to make incremental adjustments in Social Security taxes and benefits."
Yeah.
Why are your past comments any less relevant than
Incremental
things the Vice
adjustments.
President?
What I advocated.
Oh,
adjustments
interrupting
that I
the
advocated
woman
and have
host.
advocated for years.
Are they going to go to a commercial
is
break? I
among
mean, these
other
guys are going to
things
faint.
Increasing the cost of living assistance, No, you're not going to find me ever calling for cuts to Social Security. Right now, for example,
Ever?
we determine COLAs by
Come on.
looking
That's like a
at
parent saying they're never going to
inflation
spank their
for the
kids. You got to keep the
general
option on the
population.
table. Keep those old people on their
Gotta keep the
toes.
fear, man.
The retirees need to fear the banhammer a little bit.
Healthcare. That's
Like, oh,
what
you're
I
gonna
was
cut it?
talking
Oh.
about.
Hey, you know, I heard
I
they're
have,
calling
in fact, when
coronavirus
Joe
the
and
boomer
others
doomer.
Yeah, I know.
were enacting
Love it.
the
I
so-called
love it.
good name.
It's the best thing
Right,
ever.
That is a good
funny.
name.
cuts to Social Security or raising the retirement age, I formed, along with people like Barbara Boxer, the Defending Social Security Caucus to say no. When 20% of our seniors are trying to get by on $13,000 a year or more, we are not going to cut Social Security.
Vice President Biden, yesterday you endorsed an
beer is
Elizabeth
terrible.
Warren
I know.
plan that would
Hey, guys, I
undo
appreciate the
key
Corona
parts
gag,
of the bankruptcy
but can
law
someone bring me an
without
actual
passing
beer?
Please, Lord.
I really can't.
Lord in
like, I
heaven,
honestly,
bring us a
I'm
real
sorry.
beer.
I know people will say I'm a snob. I cannot drink Corona beer. By the way, just in case people who don't, do you have any idea how easy it is for beer to be tainted by UV light? To give you an idea, my mother-in-law, Thanksgiving, she lived in an apartment that was 16 floors up. She took a growler of beer, my favorite beer. She put it out because it was cold in the snow on the balcony
Yeah.
in the sunlight for 3 hours, and it tasted like a skunk roadkill. That's why they use dark bottles. Mexico just hasn't caught on yet.
I mean, other Mexican beers do, just not Corona.
Yeah, exactly.
Despite
Like Negro
this-
Modelo is perfectly.
Right.
It's not my favorite, but I'll drink it.
Even
I
the
cannot
Rays of the
drink
Sun
this Corona.
doesn't
It
like
is
Corona
so
beer.
bad. It is so bad, and I'm watching the Democratic debates, and this beer is still almost the worst part of my night.
Warren about her proposal. This is the first opportunity we've had to make substantial change in what we couldn't get done in a Republican administration.
when he really
That's
smells
why we
wide, he looks
talked
like that
about it
Cheshire
2 nights
cat.
ago, and I supported
Yeah, I don't know
her
if you guys saw
proposal,
this, but
and it's a good
Biden's
proposal.
campaign
It's a solid
announced this just right before the debate.
Yeah, it's about an hour before
that
the debate.
With regard to
they'll
what we're
support a
talking
plan to
about,
make public colleges and
Well,
universities
thank you, but
tuition
someone's
free.
gonna have to actually pour this out.
Oh, my goodness.
You have to pour it out and then return. Thank you. I appreciate that he used up that $19 surgical
Yeah, those
mask
things
for
are
a gag.
expensive.
exact bill
My wife got
that
price
the-
gouged on
that,
Amazon for those. They
Senator
saw her
Sanders
coming a mile
introduced,
away.
I guess a little
a
over a year
shame.
ago.
Which, by the way, I prefer price
capping it
gouging
off at
to nothing.
$125,000
But she's like
in
7'5".
income.
I mean,
I know.
easy to
But did you see now? They're like, we're going to stop price gouging on Amazon, so guys are just sitting on thousands of
Yeah.
bottles
Yeah.
of hand sanitizer. Like, well, wouldn't it be better to pay slightly more than no one getting
Than
hand
nothing?
sanitizer?
It was a good idea, and I support it.
How many
And so
bottles of
that's
aloe
what
vera
it
and
is.
Tito's
And
can you
I'm not
make?
saying everything Bernie said has been wrong.
Just
He
kidding.
happened
It
to
doesn't
be right
work.
on that one.
But
Senator
I
Sanders,
wanted
I
to,
assume
you know, I wanted to test it to
these
see if you
things-
actually believed me.
Look,
Fact check.
this is a little bit about leadership as well. Joe talked about bankruptcy. Joe, if my memory is correct, you helped write that bankruptcy bill.
I did not.
But
All right?
I-
And that
I did not.
one of us's memory is
So
worse?
He is literally Tommy Wiseau tonight. I did not.
some of them
What was the other thing that he
hi,
said?
Bernie.
What was the other thing that he said earlier? That was Tommy
What was I
Wiseau?
did not.
made
No,
it
but before that he said something. I was
difficult
quoting
for
the
people
room.
to escape from that student debt. It was a very, very
Thank
bad
you very-
bill.
yeah.
You said, Joe,
I appreciate it.
People in the Senate voted for it. You're right.
It looks like an oyster floating at the top of my beer.
Well, I voted against it in the House, and I was right. And I don't have to rethink.
By the way, the answer to
my
that question
position
from Bernie,
because
you know,
that's
if
what
my
leadership's
memory
about,
serves
having
me
the
correctly,
guts to
it
take
doesn't.
an unpopular vote. But it's not just bankruptcy. The difference between Joe and I
you still
on
have Corona.
higher education is 4 years ago. It was not a popular idea, Joe. Glad you're coming around now. 4 years ago.
Now, is
I
that
said
just
that
angry
public
old
colleges and
secular
universities
Jewish
should be
handshakes or
tuition-free?
Parkinson's?
People would say, Bernie, that's a radical idea.
I'm not a doctor.
Well, you got states and
We know.
cities and counties all over the country
You're a guru.
that are moving in that direction.
I'm technically the only
and I'm
doctor
glad
in
that
this
Joe
room.
is
This is
on
true.
board.
Hey.
What leadership is about
And
is
it's not
going
just 'cause
forward
I'm Asian.
when it's not popular, when it's an idea that you get criticized for. So I'm proud of that fact, and I'm proud of my leadership on many issues.
I'm proud of
Joe,
most facts.
Since the campaign has come around, I
I'm
talked
proud
about
of the
raising that
general
minimum wage
concept of
$15
facts.
an hour 4 years ago, Joe.
So did I, and I went out and
$15 an hour?
$15 an hour, New York City. Go talk to the governor.
Which shouting white guy do you under your party, Democrats?
And by the way, even though they both say they support $15 an hour, keep in mind they are the party that kicked out Amazon from Queens, New
Yep.
York, that was providing average salaries of I think
Yep.
what $122,000 a year. Reg can bring that up.
Yeah.
And AOC said we're not going to let you come in and take advantage of our citizens. Well, I thought you wanted $15 an hour. Yeah, but not from them. Well, who do you want to give it to? Me.
The bankruptcy bill didn't affect that. It affected 10% of the people, the first bankruptcy bill. 10% of the student loans, number one. Number two, now we're in a position where we're able to correct that problem. The fact is, if I hadn't stepped up and changed the law,
he said we I.
If we I
was he doing a key eye? Was he getting ready to throw a punch like we I?
Yippee-ki-yay.
Well, come on, that's a drink. Stutter. We I. Come on, that's got to be one. We I. For those just tuning in, promo code is Crowder Debate Stream. You get $20 off, and the drinking game is drink every time they stutter, or generally don't finish a thought, or act like Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden.
This bill now calls
Wait, did he just say number 2 again?
Opportunity to fundamentally change the
no,
mistakes
I
we
didn't catch
couldn't
it.
correct in the bill the first time around.
Hey,
And that
can
is
we
why
figure
I
out what
support Elizabeth Warren's
Bernie's
idea.
pin
And
is?
it's a very
I really
good
want to know what that
Senator
is.
Sanders, go ahead.
Well, this is kind of circular
that?
logic. We're going to
like the Rotary Club?
The bill that I
think
voted
it's the Elks Lodge.
For. Well, if you hadn't voted for it, and if you had rallied
It's an
other
inaugural
people, as
member
I try to
of
do,
a 190-year-old
the
institution.
House voting against it, we might not have the problems with it we have today. You know what leadership
Miners.
is about, Joe, and it deals with
It's an
you know,
original
what the,
collector's
you know,
pin
your
from when the
opposition
13 colonies
or
were
your
created.
support, I should say,
We have Vermont.
for legislation regarding gay communities and the so-called Defense of Marriage Act. You remember that bill, right? You remember the Defense of Marriage Act. It was, you know, gay marriage today.
I remember-
is
What does it mean to you,
than it was
Bernie?
25 years ago. I remember that vote. It was a very hard vote. I voted against the Defense of Marriage Act. You voted for it. I voted against the bankruptcy bill. You voted for it. I
Joe's
voted
like,
against the war
"Damn it."
in Iraq, which is also a tough vote. You voted for it. I voted against disastrous trade agreements like NAFTA and PNTR.
He's gonna be like, oh,
with
damn
China,
it! Now you're
which
gonna
cost
put
this
me at
country
odds
over
with the
$4
queers.
million good payments.
Can I say
You voted
queers?
for
What do I say?
They call himself that.
Queers?
I don't know.
Sprites? What's the? Yeah, I don't care if they want to jump. If they want to play leapfrog with another homo. I have no problem with it. But you know, I still like to go home to my wife. You know, for me, I'm not. You know, I'm not any fairy. I like to go home to my wife and give her the old. You know.
He likes to do push-ups on top of it.
Yes, yeah.
This man is the only
Watch me do
one of the
crunches.
Democrats I know who voted to exempt the gun industry from being able to be sued.
Oh, there you
Talk
go.
about a special-
Knew this was
special
coming.
interest. We can sue. We should be able to sue drug companies. We should be able to sue tobacco companies. We cannot sue the.
I know what Bernie
gun
Sanders is going to say. He said he voted against that because he didn't want mom and pop gun shops to be sued. But the fact is, if you compare his record with pharmaceutical companies and being able to be litigious with every other industry, the reason he protected the gun industry, and I think he was totally right in that vote, is because he comes from a state with the most relaxed gun laws in the country, Vermont, and he didn't want to lose the voting constituency.
And say I supported gay marriage. I supported gay marriage when asked. And
When asked?
And it started a ripple effect.
That's a
I'm
stutter
not
and
all
asked.
But I'm the
Drink.
first major player to say I support gay marriage on national television.
All that I'm saying here is
Leadership.
we can argue, you know, this or that.
Buzzword.
Leadership.
But what I'm suggesting is
I
that
saw
in this time
a
of
photo of an
Determination.
eagle.
in a really
Courage.
unsettling world.
Halfway through, he's just going to start making eagle sounds.
I mean, that'll get my vote.
Starts flapping his arms.
If it's biologically accurate,
For 30
I will vote
years,
for
I
Biden.
stood with the working
If he does a
families
good
of this
eagle.
country. I have taken on every special interest there is out there, and that is what.
Here's the
I
truth.
Wait,
do
hold on. He's
in
taken
White House.
every
That's a very
special
different
interest.
record
Have you
than
taken
yours.
on the commies? That's all I ask.
What about the unions? By the way, this is something when people talk about special interests, they talk about big money in politics. We can bring this up, Reg. If you look at the top political donors of all time, I don't even know if I have this number. Was it 14 out of the top 20 are unions, labor unions? You can give this to me. It's either 14 or 16 out of the top 20 are unions. You have to go way down that list to find Big Oil or the Koch brothers. Unions, which by the way, often they're public sector unions, talk about corrupt. You don't really have a choice of how your union dues are spent on political candidates. So really, Bernie, have you taken on the unions? Because that's the biggest special interest lobby in this country.
He's making it hard for me right now. I was trying to give him credit for some things. He won't even take the credit for things he wants to do. Look, I think that I want to make it clear. If Bernie's a nominee,
I think
will
Bernie
not
has
only
one of those
support him,
pens
I
that
will
has all the different
campaign
colors.
for him.
He's
And
just
I
clicking
believe
the
that people
Yes.
who
pink,
support me will do the
green,
same thing.
blue.
Because the existential threat
He's
to
just
the
sitting there,
United States
answering
of
by, he's like,
America is
purple.
Trump.
Those are fun.
I
Yeah.
would hope that Bernie would do the same.
Biden's like,
thing
well, you got
Biden
purple
did.
on there? I've
And
never seen
encourage all
purple.
of his
I just mixed.
followers.
I mixed green and blue. It's more of
Because
a
it's
more of a
much
mauve.
bigger than
You got
the
mauve? Can I see that? No, it's mine.
Character of the nations on the ballot.
All right,
It
top
goes
political
well
donors.
beyond whether or not Senator Sanders
We've got
and I both
union,
agree we need healthcare should be a
Yeah,
right.
552 million from unions and 441
441
from
million.
non-union.
So we have American. Yeah, that's right. I think we have from. Is it from Open Secrets? I think we have is somewhere here where it's like out of the actual individual donors. I think Open Secrets has the actual union lobbies.
I do appreciate that. It's very clear that because Bernie is against all corporations and he's against the entire healthcare industry, that if you work for a corporation or you work in healthcare, you should not vote for Bernie. He's not your guy.
That's true.
Yeah, just a few people work.
If you're coming up for the cure for the next coronavirus, Bernie's not your guy.
But if you are homeless or in prison,
By the way, yeah.
Up until
if someone
you
comes
get
up with the
corona.
vaccine for corona, I think they should be a billionaire.
That's essential.
Just remember how you feel right now.
Monster.
14 of America's biggest 25 campaign donors are unions. Okay. That's from a
Just a quick
podcast.
question,
But
because
anyway, you can find it at
Bernie's
Open
the
Secrets.
nominee.
No, yeah, the source is Open Secrets.
already
said- Okay, good.
what are these
overlay
guys
I gave.
blathering about
Campaign
now?
for him. Will you urge your supporters to
On day one, when I announced my candidacy,
In 1911,
what I said is this country cannot deal with a president who is
That
a
can't
pathological
speak
liar,
quickly.
who's running a corrupt administration, who obviously doesn't know the Constitution of the United States, who believes is above
Clinton
the law.
hasn't been president
who's
for
a
decades.
racist and a sexist and a homophobe. He is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. And what I said on day one, Joe. Day one.
They won.
Well, obviously, I hope to win the
Something here
nomination.
that I thought I.
But if I
needed,
don't win
but-
the nomination, I, and I think every other Democratic candidate, is prepared to come together to do everything humanly possible to defeat Donald Trump.
Well, there
But
it
let
is.
me respond to
who
something
gives a
that
shit?
Coming together.
Joe,
Sorry,
said.
I was just
You know,
looking
talk
through. I was
about
like,
the
he's made a
community
claim that I was
and all of
predicting,
these
but then I
things in
can't
general
find
terms,
it.
But details make a difference. What I have said throughout this campaign.
He says
and I
details
don't
makes a
think I
difference,
produced
yet
it,
we have none
Joe,
about his way to
is
pay
that
for healthcare.
If we are going to
Well, yeah, you're just going to tax the rich.
All the details,
No,
except for my
no.
details.
He's
Don't look
going
at
to
them.
tax everyone
We need to have
multiple
the
times.
Right. Yeah. Anyone. Well, I mean, the rich. Anyone over making over 28,000. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Those
Within-
rich
within
people
reason.
making 30,000 a year.
Finally, those fat cats have to pay, right? Someone's got to keep them in line.
A detailed proposal.
You ever seen someone who makes
How to get the
32,000 a year?
of the
Cocky
sunrise
sons of bitches.
We're going to get into
Going
it.
around in their
Volvos.
going around in their Kia Rios.
Oh, I
and
think we're
shit.
doing break now.
When we come back.
Oh,
to
wow.
CNN Division
That was a marathon.
presidential debate.
All right, really quickly, because we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Let me tell you, the promo code is Crowder Live Stream. You get $20 off. I will say this. It started off pretty much exactly as I thought. They went after Donald Trump with Corona. And then, Reg, you were a little bit wrong. Bernie's hitting below the belt a little bit with Biden.
He hasn't seriously hit him. He needs to hit
Dementia?
Ukraine, Hunter Biden, dementia. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I think he got
What?
upset when I questioned him a little bit.
Yeah, I like
He hasn't really.
He finally.
I'm never wrong.
He
gonna get
perked up a
angry.
little bit. Yeah.
Won't be hiring you to babysit my
I want to
twins.
see an all-out brawl between these guys.
Yeah,
Well,
right
maybe
across.
when they start getting to push-ups.
Hey,
Anything
social
surprise-
distancing. Okay.
Anything surprises anyone here? Anything surprising you?
No.
No. It's exactly exactly.
I
as
thought they were
expected.
gonna. I thought they were gonna pull their punches a little bit.
Really?
But no, they were really going after.
Yeah,
each
they
other.
went in fast.
They did. They went. Look at this. Look at the pictures right there of Biden and Bernie. It looks like a UFC promo. Reg, can you bring up like the UFC promos, the tail of the tape?
It actually looks like Biden and a skinny Dick Cheney.
It really does. It looks like a skinny
at the
Dick
bottom.
Cheney. All right, hold on. Let's bring that up. You know what? We'll bring it up after the break. Right now, we're going to go to a commercial break. It is Crowder Live Stream. Sorry, Crowder Debate Stream. Crowder Debate Stream. You get $20 off. Send us in if you have specific requests or you have anything you just joined up. Let us know. We might read some of your tweets. We might not. It depends on how we're feeling. I'll see you in, what is it, 4, 3? This commercial break, I think, is 3 minutes. See you in 3 minutes.
You're running for press, you socialist cheat, avoiding the shows where you'd have to speak of this communist skit you want here at home. You climbed down a rope of blankets and sheets, evaded the guards, you learn in his creed, it's time to get back to the old folks' home. I'm reading your plan over again, and there's not a word that I comprehend except when you sign it, love. Bernie always with the end backward. Well, as for now, I'm gonna watch the saddest man sit alone and wonder how you made it out. Seriously, is there somebody anywhere who can explain how you got out? Your bedroom window, how did it break? You left the pills that you need to take. I hope you don't have another seizure. You climbed down a rope of blankets and sheets, evaded the guards. You communist creep. I wish I knew you were back in the home. A voice in your head, corns on your feet, and you tip like crap because you're so cheap. If I don't need a gun, you don't need 3 homes. Well, as for now, I'm gonna watch the saddest man and sit alone and wonder how you made it out. Seriously, is there somebody anywhere who can explain how you got out? Your hair is everywhere, screaming instability along with your stare. Your hair is everywhere, screaming instability along with your stare. Your hair is everywhere, screaming instability along with your stare. Your hair is everywhere, screaming instability along with your stare.
You can't hear. No matter what like this, you should know. No matter what like this.
Boom. So excited. We are almost back. Man, we got some weirdo people here commenting.
What is going on?
Drink it moved.
Yeah, we had to.
Yeah. I moved.
Okay, all right. As long as you guys,
No, it's perfect. I love it. I love it.
Isn't that where
Okay.
you wanted?
All right, let's hear what they're
Yeah.
bitching about.
Women, and that will be the representation in my cabinet.
By the way,
and my
I got some
administration.
CBD in here.
And in
Future
terms
sponsor,
of
potentially,
policies,
but I won't say who it is. The
not-
company that I take
Joe,
CBD from is
I have
the best company in the country in that it's lab verified 100%. They put the lab tests on the. Oh, look, Betty, come here, Betty. Hey, Betty, come here. No, she's Betty.
She's got.
Betty.
She's got a mask.
She's got.
She's got a mask.
Betty, come here. What are you? You're taking your mask. Betty wants a surgical. Go, take it away. She's taking a surgical mask.
Just being cautious. Just
All right,
being
hold on a
cautious.
second.
Just being safe.
There she
I was
goes.
just about to tease this potential CBD spot. No, Betty, stop running away. Hey,
Oh no, she's coming this way.
come on, Betty, stop it. Stop it.
It's just like the candidates trying to chase voters.
Betty, son of a bitch. Betty.
Literally, you could not have a better and more accurate sketch.
She's still running.
Okay, yeah.
So, talk about ineffective. This is just like Bernie's healthcare
What you
proposal.
will find, it is a very strong agenda in fighting for the rights of women who today are under
Someone go get some pizza.
like Trump and Republican governors all across this country.
Oh, she saw herself. She's so excited to be on TV.
She was into that.
I agree with.
All right, what do we got here? What's happening?
The question, the underlying premise of Amy's question. Number one, I committed that if I'm elected president, have an opportunity to appoint someone to the courts. I'll appoint the first black man.
Come on here.
Required that they have representation now. It's long overdue. Secondly, if I'm elected president, my cabinet,
big if.
my administration will look like the country. And I commit that I will, in fact,
My cabinet will look like the country. It doesn't matter whether it's actually good. It will just at least look like
If I'm president, my cabinet will look like me.
Number three,
Fucking crazy.
And I'm the guy that put in the
Wonky eyes.
Sorry, you got it
no
without
one
a
who
bleep.
abuses someone
Hey,
else
look at
should
this.
be able to own
Those,
a gun.
my wife has a whole thing with the
Period. They should
lightning
not be able to
strips.
own a gun. I would
I'm
get
like a
the
little
votes in
Cheshire
section,
caddy.
amended.
Look at those
Now
chompers.
I've gotten it
You got
passed
good
that
chompers, Bill.
If you get a stay away order from a court, you have a child with someone.
What are you saying,
who
Joe?
cannot own a gun. No one should be able to own a gun who has abused a woman. Period.
Mr. Vice President.
What about you?
If I can follow up. Just to be clear, you just committed here tonight that your running mate, if you get the nomination, will be a woman?
Yes.
Ooh.
Senator Sanders, will you
Right
make
now,
that
may
same
may I
commitment?
just respond
Please.
and ask Joe a question?
Can we turn it up a little bit? I
That
can't-
is stutter hardcore.
Right now, a woman's right to control her
I'm
own
gonna
body
hire
is
a trans black.
unprecedented.
Okay. The truth.
Right here on
You
stage.
have in the past, on more than one occasion.
By the way, thank you
voted
so much
the
for joining
Hyde
us. I can't
Amendment,
believe how many people we have watching.
which says that,
Promo
a
code
woman,
is
low-income
Crowder
woman,
Debate
could not
Stream.
use
You get
Medicaid
$20 off
for
Mug Club.
abortion.
And I'm just giving you this pitch
Is
right
that
now because
something
listen,
you or-
we're not monetized. We're not
We're not
We're not
monetized.
monetized. We're not
Still.
monetized on YouTube. Crowder Bits is though. So by the way, do subscribe to Crowder Bits. That's where you get some highlights, short sketches, sometimes exclusive content, and of course subscribe to the podcast. It's available on Apple, iTunes, Android, SoundCloud, I think.
SoundCloud. All over the place.
And of course, the BlazeTV stream is up right now. If we get kicked off, hit the link in the description.
You have Hyde Amendment. A woman who doesn't have the money could not have
This is gonna
coverage
bother me.
under health care.
Well, I'm glad.
Number two, and I've done
the
that.
other way.
I did that a while ago. Okay. Number one. Number two, I would send immediately
I'm
to
gonna
the
knock it
desk
over
of the
just like I
United
did at the
States
beginning of
Congress
this
when I'm elected president, if I'm elected president, a codification of Roe v. Wade amended by Casey. Because I think it is a woman's right to choose. I think it's a woman's opportunity to be able to make that decision. And in fact,
I'm clumsy
I've got
and
100% rating from NARAL as well.
Senator Sanders, before we move on, I just want to
You,
get
excuse
you
me,
to respond.
you have a lifetime 100% voting record from NARAL?
I know my record of late from NARAL has been 100%. I don't know whether it was 25 years ago.
Also,
All right,
I have a
I'm having
100% approval rating with
pick a
not
button.
just NARAL, but Norwalls.
Narwhals.
Always believe in that.
Did I say Norwalls? What? Why
Unicorn,
am I stopping?
unicorns of the sea.
Unicorny
Vice
fish.
President committed to picking
I like
a woman as
Delph.
his running mate. If you get the nomination, will you?
In all likelihood, I will. For
come
me,
on.
it's not just
Some Bernie bros
nominating,
just suicided.
a woman. It is making sure that we have a progressive women, and there
Oh,
are
wait, did he just say
progressive
he would
women out
support
there.
the Democratic
So
nominee, or
my
he said he
very
would appoint a
strong
woman?
tendency
He
is
said he would
to
appoint a
move in
woman.
that
Appoint a
direction.
woman.
Let's turn now to
Shouldn't that question be like,
immigration.
hey,
Vice President Biden,
who will your
you
VP
recently
be?
said
Yeah, I mean,
for the
Bernie
first time
just
that the
committed,
Obama
or no,
Biden
I'm sorry, Biden just said he would have the
administration
first
made a big
female
mistake
black Supreme
in
Court
deporting
justice.
millions
But I mean, that
of
could be
immigrants.
Candace Owens.
But
I
you
mean,
didn't
you know.
Right, yeah.
Right.
speak out
It could be her.
against it at the time. What commitment will you
No,
make
no,
tonight
it cannot be me.
that as
I am not
president
qualified.
You won't deport
I am not qualified, not
millions
me.
again?
Number
But
one,
maybe.
I said that.
You do? I do.
much too
Okay,
long
I'll
to
be
get it right.
Supreme Court for you.
And the president did get it right by DACA,
For
as
you.
well as making sure that he tried to protect parents as well. And by the way, moving on an immigration bill as well. The fact is,
You're the
that
ones who,
we
by the
already
way,
had
created
an
the camps
immigration
and
bill,
put
by the way,
kids in
and Bernie
cages. Those
voted
pictures,
against it.
for those of you who know, when you saw the pictures of kids in cages, think Joe Biden and Barack Obama.
Million undocumented would be citizens as I speak right now. But I will send. to
Right, what's the
desk
number? He wanted to
immediately
increase the
a
cap rate
bill
from,
that
is it 25,000 or
requires
Trump to
access
125,000?
for 11 million
To as far as undocumented immigrants and making sure they're citizens? I think I can find this here really quickly. I
Yeah, no, I think
believe
it maybe is even more than that.
I don't think there's specific numbers because he
No,
wants
there are
them all.
specific numbers.
He wants them all in.
You're a
So-
lawyer.
Yeah,
All of
Bi-
You don't know shit.
all is a
Biden's
number.
plan, he wants to increase the refugee cap from 18,000 to 125,000.
Well, that's a wonderful way to handle a pandemic.
And then Bernie wants to set a goal of accepting 50,000 migrants displaced by climate change.
Well, you
as
mustn't be
well.
afraid to dream a little bigger, love.
me respond. I'll answer your question. Let me respond to Joe's comments about 2007 immigration bill.
Can I just say something really quick?
That bill was opposed.
The answer as
by
to whether or
Lula,
not he's going to have a woman,
Latino
or like
organization
who
in
his vice
America,
president
Southern
candidate is going to be.
Poverty Law.
He only paused for a short amount, but I will tell you, after this debate, that will be the thing that so many people will come after him for on the left.
Yep.
They will take any hesitation there.
Yeah.
They will take it to his grave.
How funny would it be if he actually told someone in private? Because usually by this point they've had the conversation about VP. How funny would it be if he already told someone who wasn't a woman that they were getting it, and just like, watching it right now, like, I don't know, like Tom Stayer's like, shit! All right.
No. Tom still thinks he's going to be
television.
relevant. I mean,
Yeah, no, Tom's frosting his tips. Getting her sugar wax. I can be whatever you want me to be. What do you want me to be?
What do you want? Yeah.
I have the money. You want money? You want more money? No, Tom.
More
I have to appoint Carly Fiorina.
And fourth, I think we can pass what the American people want.
I still think Carly
Comprehensive
Fiorina would have made a great
immigration
president.
reform, path towards citizenship for the 11
agree.
million undocumented.
I like Carly
Senator
Fiorina.
Sanders, critics suggest positions
She
like
was the
this
original
send
owner of the
message that
Libs before it
when
became a
a Democrat
thing.
is in the White House, the border is open.
Did she say the voter?
The voter?
I mean, that's what
Well,
Trump says.
she's not a
Does
candidate.
that
That was
count?
such a bad word
What we're
whisker.
talking
The
about
voter.
is a humane.
I was a fan
sensible
of the old man
policy
and the
supported
vote.
by the American people. Nobody is talking about open borders, and of course Trump lies
I think
about that.
if they would have been better
But the
off
bottom
instead
line
just
is
having her
right
ask
now,
the
you
question in
have this
Spanish and
country.
let them read it in English.
Oh, man.
I mean, no, seriously. I mean,
For the
if they're
memes
gonna-
alone.
if you're going to do it together, like, just
They're an important
why
part of
even?
our agricultural economy, our construction economy.
Just have someone
These are good people.
bring back Candy
And yet
Crowley,
they're
have her
living in
sign.
terror. And we have got to end that terror and end the ICE raids and
like
move
it.
towards.
I don't know. I probably just
towards
insulted someone's mother.
Let me set the record straight.
There's someone right now deaf watching the show like,
You know,
you
the idea of
asshole!
slavery.
You insulted
Barack
your own
Obama
mother. I
supported
hear her coming down the hall.
that bill, that immigration bill.
Yeah, well, she's French Canadian,
Teddy
so sometimes
Kennedy
people think the accent
supported
isn't
that
like they think
immigration
it sounds like a deaf person.
It sounds a little bit
I
that way.
doubt whether those people think it's slavery.
But it's lovely.
She's
And
not
by the
deaf.
way,
She's a brilliant
right
woman.
after his
Very
vote
brilliant.
But she does that
against
French Canadian accent, almost sounds like a cartoon to people who've never been to Montreal.
and
She's not deaf, she's
canard
brilliant.
that they're taking jobs,
What?
taking jobs from America.
You know.
which
Deaf
is
bring-
one of the
come on.
Republican canards. Right
Very smart.
after that vote, that no vote.
Save
And
more
so, come
money
on.
at
This is-
Canards.
You think Ted Kennedy is for slavery? You think I was for slavery? You think
when you-
people voted for it for slavery?
Just-
and with regard to your issue, your question relative to
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm lost. What are you
deal
talking
with
about?
supporting the border. Look, we can deal
Stutter,
with securing
drink.
the border by
He's trying to find his
technical
thoughts.
means.
They've
But
eluded
all
him.
the bad things are coming through ports of entry right now. We don't need a wall. And by the way, I would immediately, as president,
This is
serve
Then
the
what?
perfect example of the
I would
reverse
end
nirvana
this
fallacy,
motion
right?
for the first time
Right
in
now,
history, that people
almost all
should
that they're
decide
coming through the ports of entry.
swallow
Right.
the other side of the river.
Because that's primarily how people are getting through, because you also showcase these stories of horrible people who died trying to scale the wall or the fence. And so you're saying, since most of the problems are at ports of entry, we should make every area of the border a port of entry. No. The issue is, let's make sure that we're taking care of, we're being more stringent on the ports of entry, and let's eliminate the ports of entry. Let's make them as narrow and specific as possible so we can control it. Do you see how the problem would be worse if right now the only place they can get through is primarily where we have immigration problems, and you want to make that place through which they can pass all of the places?
Children
Yeah.
from their parents
Open
and
borders.
dividing families up. We need a humane border.
This is where
policy.
by
I'll
the
tell
way,
you what else-
where Bernie Sanders loses the populist vote. The people in the Rust Belt who think they want him, who think that he's for
Yeah.
the worker, because really they're just people who don't believe in themselves and they want a handout. And I don't care if I say this and some people get mad because I'm not running for office. Yeah, if you vote for someone who says he's going to guarantee you free health care, free pension, a living wage that you haven't earned, you're a loser who's looking for a handout. If you are looking to Bernie Sanders to save you, I'm sorry, you are not a man. In other words, you need to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. I know, the analogy according to AOC was actually that people can't pick themselves up by their bootstraps. Kind of like that was the point. The issue here is if you are looking to someone like Bernie Sanders to save you, I don't have that much respect for you. If you're the head of your household and you are waiting and fixating on Bernie Sanders making sure that you and yours are taken care of, that's not being a provider. But he is losing people right now across the Rust Belt, people who want a job, people who want to come by it honestly, people who are working class, by the way, but you lose them when you start saying that you want to open the borders because you want a humane solution. All Americans know that that's not going to help them. It's going to drive down wages. It's going to lower the standard of living. It's going to fracture our culture here in the United States more. No one has a problem with immigrants coming here legally. We do have a problem with what they are talking about right now, and make no mistake, open borders. They just bitched about the points of entry and then basically said that they want all areas of the border to be points of entry because it's a humane thing to do. Now, you know what the humane thing to do is? The humane thing to do is to take care of American workers, not only American workers, but American people who don't want to be contaminated by viruses and third world bacteria that we have no idea what's coming in at this point. Every single American who wants any form of security, because you can't have security regardless of how many TSA pat-downs or sigmoidoscopes they pop out when you go through security, or the nude x-ray photos, if you have a wide open border. Bernie Sanders loses Americans with that, and I think if Bernie Sanders was a nominee, I don't even know if that's wood. It seems like a thin veneer. Yeah. The point is, if Bernie Sanders is the nominee, he will lose to Donald Trump because the economy is good and the immigration issue. He has a little bit of a leg to stand on with the gun issue, but not so much, because he said he's aiming for an F because he was the only D- candidate. And now, of course, he has the peer pressure from the Democratic Party where he needs to be an F candidate with the NRA. Yeah. But his biggle, you have to drink because I just did it. His biggest losing issue is immigration that doesn't resonate with the American public, and of course, just the overall idea that we need a revolution against the best economy that modern American workers have ever seen.
You know, and what's really interesting, I'd say, when you're out in public and you hear the headlines versus the reality of what people are and what they want with this country, is there are no rational Americans of any color or creed that want open borders. Even if you go up to someone and they say, I want open borders, and you ask them, what does that mean? They go, well, I mean, smart legal immigration. Right. They don't go, let everyone in. Not a single person wants that. And yet, when you really push down on Bernie and what he's saying that every person of color wants open borders. And if you are a person of color, whether you're on the left or the right, you don't want open borders. That's just the end of it.
And what, does Bernie Sanders speak for you?
Right. And specifically the black community. They don't have a lot of tolerance for open borders and illegal immigration. That's one thing where they lose. The black Democrats today are the moderates of the party. That's something that they don't understand. They're going like, wait, hold on a second. Men are being able
it's
to
more
take,
like inheritance,
men
really.
can take dumps in the woman's restroom. The fuck? They're not on board with that. Wait, hold on a second. We ain't going to have borders?
Right.
What's going on? They're not on board with it. Bernie Sanders is the hipster with the beanie at the college poet open mic night, and he wants to be president of the United States. All right, let's see. They're talking about climate change. This will be stupid.
Transforming our energy system as quickly as we humanly can away from fossil fuel. It is insane that we continue to have fracking.
Everyone agrees with that. As quickly as we
It is insane that we continue to have fracking, which brought gas prices and energy costs down to the lowest point when adjusted for inflation in modern American history.
Wait, and if we didn't have fracking and a development of our own natural gas system, then Saudi Arabia's decision to either increase or decrease the amount of production in order to manipulate the economy, I don't know, we might be completely beholden to them.
And not only that, hey, by the way, do you know how we get oil from the Middle East?
Oh, tell me. How do we get that?
Comes over on tankers. The BP oil spill that we saw that was a national disaster here, right? We said, oh my gosh, look at the shrimp in the Gulf. It's child's play compared to the spills that happen all the time when they're crossing the Atlantic.
So you're saying we should develop here in America so there's less oil spills?
Hey, you know what? I'll give you one more.
Stephen, you communist.
Not only will it be shipped over from tankers, by the way, that are actually very prone to tipping, they're going across tumultuous seas, but they don't have the exact same EPA standards in these countries. Did you know that?
They don't.
Did you know that?
They don't.
Do you know how they would frack in the Middle East?
How?
Kill the person and frack outside their house.
Hey, this is a little off topic, but it's something on the environment that I never ever can wrap my head around. Is I know that there are a lot of fans. I know there are a lot of fans of the show who are environmentalists. And when I say environmentalists, I mean conservationists, people who are hunters and fishers. And if you're out there and you've got something to say about that, leave a comment. You know that when the people are out there who are really making sure that we protect the environment in a smart way, not just to protect everything all the time at the expense of humanity and the growth of the human race. If you're a true conservationist, go ahead and leave a comment.
I hate it when I see people just throw trash out. I always pick trash up or put it in the recycling. Not now with coronavirus. I'm not taking those chances now. I'm just going to live in a wasteland and hope Captain Planet, shows up every now and then. But the issue is, I hate it when people just throw trash out. And you know what I hate? When environmentalists who are done with their open mic poet night throw a cigarette butt down with non-biodegradable fiberglass.
all of those being
Yeah, a couple of research
being
points here.
converted
So we have
run on local
solar
Twin
energy.
and/or
So with the solar energy, you have these solar panels that actually create 300 times
the
more
waste.
toxic waste
carbon-free.
per energy unit than nuclear power plants, right? And then the
Well, and a
second
big part of that,
point-
by the way, that stat doesn't tell is because they have to mine for all these rare metals, right, and minerals to
Yeah.
create solar panels, and so it also has a higher death rate per kilowatt of energy. Yeah.
Yeah, and those metals actually have an infinite half-life, unlike the the nuclear waste, which has a long half-life, but it's not infinite.
Right. Well, not only, it's not infinite, and it can also be contained, and we've been doing it for a very long time.
There'd be a
Yeah,
price to pay.
it's a good
And
point.
lastly, I would be right now organizing the hemisphere and the world to provide $20 billion for the Amazon, for Brazil, no longer to burn the Amazon so they could have forest. They're no longer forest, but they could have farming.
Are you sure?
And
Is he saying
say,
forest?
this is
That's
what
a
we're
drink.
gonna do.
Forest. That's a
We'll
starter
absorb
drink.
more carbon in the Amazon and the region that's burning now than we emit
I don't know how
in
long we
one
can do this.
entire year per year.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
In one
Senator
entire
Sanders.
year per
well,
year, that's a
good.
drink. Come on.
I mean, you mentioned we started this debate talking
In
about
one entire year per year,
a
I've
warlike
been Annam.
situation in terms of
Why am I
economy.
stopping?
The one
And we said we have
revolution
to act
around the
accordingly.
sun.
I think you're right. I said it. We have to act dramatically, boldly, if we're going to save lives in this country and around the world. I look at
Because
climate
his
change
health care
in
plan
exactly
wouldn't do
the
enough
same
in
way.
taking over a
It's not
fifth of
question
the American economy.
re-entering
Then he just
power
wants
support.
to
That's
earmark
fine.
and the rest with the 5-page Green New Deal.
The deal right now is, do we have the courage? And this gets
Health
back to the point
care
I'm trying to make
and the rest.
Ladies and gentlemen, do we have the courage to destroy America? Do we possess what it takes to take a great nation and turn it into a dumpster fire? If so, vote for Bernie.
VP Richard
50
Painter.
years ago. Oh, we don't know if fossil fuels, if oil and carbon emissions are causing climate change. They knew. ExxonMobil knew. They lied. In fact, I think they should be held criminally accountable. But this, Jake, is an issue of enormous consequence. What Joe was saying goes nowhere near enough. It's not a question of money. Give me a minute here. We have time to talk about it.
Give me another minute. I just look. I
Doesn't
never
understand how
look,
debates work.
The Democratic establishment won't give me more minutes.
No more subsidies for fossil fuel industry. No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling, including offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. And
The reason
Wow.
we've cut down on catastrophic spills is because we have more control and we've opened up fracking and offshore drilling. The fact that the BP oil spill was considered such a disaster was proof positive that it's abnormal, because that doesn't happen in the United States the way that it does in third world countries or in the Middle East all of the time, on which we're actually now no longer completely energy dependent, for example, on Saudi Arabia. And I think it's a great thing. I think we should completely reduce our energy dependence on that area of the world and turn it into Superman's dad's apartment.
commitment you make, you will pay an economic price for it, like what's happening in China. They're exporting coal, significant coal.
Thank you.
Look, obviously, the Paris Accord.
You know what I love about Joe
is
Biden?
useful,
He ends his
but it
point
doesn't go anywhere
without it sounding like he's ended his point.
Yeah.
They're doing coal. You guys remember coal?
You talk about
Thank
And he
you
goes
very
in and
much.
writes a note.
Thank you, Athens.
Like, I got all of that. I got all of that.
Oh, here we go. Here's the aggressive stance. This is where he asks for the manager.
Look, he's doing the bob and weave Joe Frazier.
We're going to stop destroying this planet. No ifs, buts, and maybes about it. I'm talking about
So am I.
speaking to China. Well, I'm not sure your proposal does that.
I'm not
Speaking
sure.
To China. To
Bernie,
Russia,
I feel like this is
countries
the
all
moment
over
you
the
should be
world.
sure about your
And
opponent.
In this moment, making the point that instead of
If you
spending
had
1.8
this
trillion
moment.
on weapons of destruction
Just
designed
one.
to kill each other, maybe we should pool
He's
our
like, he would all
resources
beatbox
and fight
himself.
our common
Boom,
enemy,
boom, boom,
which is
boom, boom,
climate
boom,
change. I know
boom,
your
boom.
heart is in
Yo.
the right place, but this requires dramatic, bold action. We've got to take on the
He said
fossil
bold
fuel
action
industry.
twice.
Your
It was a
plan
couple
Multiple
minutes
times,
apart.
All
My
right,
plan
great.
takes
All right.
on the
Looking for
fossil fuel
excuses.
industry and it unites the world. He just got finished saying, what's he going to do? He's going to bring these countries together, make it clear to them. I'm saying we bring them together, make them live up to the commitments. If they don't live up to the commitments, they pay a financial price for it. They pay an economic
they?
price for it. Because we
Oh,
can
Bernie.
do
I
that.
gotta
The
quit.
Jews!
State
No,
is 3
wait.
feet above sea level. I don't need to lecture on what's going to happen about rising seas. I know what happens.
As
I
a
watched the
lapsed
whole Delmarva
Jew,
Peninsula,
I take offense.
Just like it is in South Carolina.
What's that
and the
mean?
West.
I don't
Something
believe in
know a little
anything.
bit about. I wrote the first climate change bill that was in the Congress. Was
I don't think Bernie
was a
realizes
game
that all
changer.
of this like
I'm the guy that
gesturing
came
and
along
like
said,
makes him look like he's not organized and he's just like reacting emotionally.
I was way ahead of this curve. This idea that all of a sudden Bernie found this out is amazing to me.
Senator Sanders?
Now, Bernie didn't find it out. Bernie is listening to the
Oh,
scientists.
Bernie talks in the third
Bernie
person.
talks in the third person.
We're talking about making countries around the world fulfill their
A little bit of his
commitments.
Tarzan
Those
Jane
commitments
role playing from home made it onto the stage.
This moment is about, Joe, is that the scientists
Oh.
are telling us they underestimated
Bernie gonna be
the
president.
severity
Bernie real
of the
good.
crisis. They were wrong.
Bernie
The
man.
problem is more severe.
Jane Sanders,
So all that I'm
woman.
saying right here is that we are fighting for the future of this planet, for the well-being of our kids and future generations.
Does
You
no one
cannot
else role play
continue
Tarzan Jane?
Joe believes to continue fracking.
You'll never hear me
Correct
say
if
it.
I'm wrong. What we need to do right now is bring the world together, tell the fossil fuel.
Oh, by the way, for those who have
industry
conspiracy
that we are
theories
gonna
about my
move
wedding ring,
aggressively
the only reason it's gone is I had an Oura ring, which was like a
sustainable
fitness
energy
tracker,
and energy
and it was so crappy. Don't worry, they're not a
Your
sponsor.
robot
It
ring.
sucked,
Yeah.
and then I dropped it, and it just stopped working. And then my old ring before the like my fingers are just bigger than they were.
Yeah, those little sausages.
I do have these little sausage fingers, so I think I'm gonna get a wedding ring tattoo.
Do it.
I'm not even a
gonna rub
tattoo
off,
guy,
though.
but I just that way because I always have to take it off with jujitsu and weightlifting. Anyway, totally irrelevant. Back to the point. Let me know at S Crowder if you think I should get a wedding ring tattoo. If you have one, send in your best picture, and I probably won't do that, but I'll
Let us know.
Something like that.
promo code Crowder Debate Stream, $20 off.
That's why we should be talking about things like I've been talking about for years. High-speed rail, taking millions of automobiles off the road.
Okay.
Making sure that we move
I just
in the
spoke about this
direction where-
earlier, and I'm sure we probably got some comments from people saying, oh, liberals. One of the most controversial articles I ever wrote when I was at Fox News, I don't even know if it's still up there if you could search it in the archive, was that liberals, the far left, want you on public transit because that's another way that they can control you. Then recently there was an article, I think we wrote about it on the website, that said we need to make gas more expensive so that it discourages people from
Right,
buying
yeah.
SUVs so that they start using public
yeah.
transit. Joe Biden just said high-speed rails. Now, he didn't say we need to encourage industry or provide tax incentives to private companies that could create technological advancements so that rail travel could be more effective. He said high-speed rails so that we can take millions of cars off the road. Tell me that that's for you, the American working class. Tell me that that's going to make your life a better place, to be dependent on the United States government. You know who can talk to you about that? Hurricane Sandy in New York. You know who can talk about that? People right now who are quarantined in countries where they can't leave because they're dependent entirely on the government for transportation. People in mass cities right now. Does anyone want to be in a place with mass public transit right now with the coronavirus? Now, magnify that and make it an actually significantly deadly disease. Not that it's not deadly in some capacity, but increase it to the likelihood of, let's say, like the Spanish flu, and you're in New York, or you're in Baltimore, and you have to be on the Joe Biden Express.
I listen to the people of Shelbyville about high-speed rail.
He just said it. High-speed rail so we can take millions of cars off the road.
And I will fight to implement it.
Thank you so much, Senator Sanders. We're going to be back with more from the CNN Univision Democratic presidential debate. Stay with us.
Another break?
Another break.
Wow.
We haven't. They went 2 hours and then took a break.
And
1
then took
hour,
and then they went
and then
14
30
minutes and took another break.
The UFC side by side.
Oh, do we have the UFC side by side? Look at that. Yeah. Now bring up.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have them. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Can you bring up CNN? Bring up the CNN thing. Can we bring it up full screen? Do we have it full?
Yeah,
Okay.
down there at
Oh,
the
shoot.
bottom.
They see us. Can we get rid of us? People don't want to see us.
No. Now they see.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, whoa. All right.
Hold on 1
Oops.
second. We're going to show you.
Bam.
Okay, look at that.
There you
Okay,
go.
look.
There we go.
Biden and Bernie. Now bring up the UFC promo pic. Come on. Tell me that's not the influence. It's got the same dramatic
I
lighting.
like it.
It's like a Roman Polanski film. You can always tell
All
the
the
style of
same.
lighting. CNN probably brought in the same photographer for the UFC. And he was like, I don't know what you like. I'm used to filming, taking pictures of like Adonis's physical specimens. Like, no, we got Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
He said, oh, all right. The check's cash.
Freedom from religion.
They've got really
You see
well-defined necks.
Oh, wait, this is the guy. Is this
Freedom
Dan
from
Savage?
religion.
This is the guy who talks about fisting to grade schoolers.
This is Ron Reagan.
Oh, never
Reagan.
mind then.
Yeah.
Someone bring up a picture of Dan Savage and tell me he doesn't look like him. Sorry, Mr. Reagan. Sorry that I just
We
besmirched
apologize.
your good
We
reputation.
apologize.
Bring up a picture of Dan Savage, one that looks particularly like Mr. Reagan. because I want people to, because it said freedom from religion, and he's always fought against religion.
Yeah.
Is it Dan Savage, the gay activist
I know
guy?
you're talking about,
I'm working on it here.
Okay,
Let's
all right.
see.
Reg is going to bring it up, and then we'll take a quick break. Do we have a short break that we can do?
Oh, what do we got?
We got a little resemblance there.
Come on, tell me you don't see that.
What about Got an Itch, Girl? Come on, that's my favorite.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Seriously,
We're going to
it's my
take
favorite.
again, the promo code is Crowder Debate Stream. We're trying to keep up a little bit more right now so that way we don't have to cut it out so much so we're not removed. But if for some reason you want to hear the debate a little bit more because we're trying to fact check it live, of course you can sync it up with us and listen to both live. But it's good. This time I don't think we're going to be removed. So we will be back in 3 minutes, however long their commercials take.
Do not attempt the training techniques you are about to see without consulting a professional. Tonight on Crowder 911.
I don't think Joe Biden knows what he's doing.
A physically inappropriate politician.
He's at the point where he gropes every person that walks by. Hey,
stop! Wreaks havoc on the lives of his voters.
Joe! Not again.
At first I thought it was cool, but then he started kissing my neck and sniffing. Hey! No!
This Joe Biden was clearly out of control, and it was time for someone to do something about it.
Quarter person of color Garrett and his co-worker Maddie have been dealing with a politician with no respect for boundaries or personal space.
Hey, quarter black.
Hey.
What seems to be the problem?
Well, it's Joe Biden here. He won't stop sniffing and kissing people. It's a real problem. I've done everything. I don't know what to do.
Okay, see, the first thing you did is right now when you're very tense. You're giving off that energy, and you actually encourage that behavior.
I encourage it?
That's right.
Okay. Oh, what do I do?
The first thing we need you to do is get your Joe Biden to a calm, relaxed state. And we're gonna do that with no talk, no touch, no eye contact. Okay?
Okay.
That's right.
All right.
It's okay to drop the leash. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Now, see what I did is I do a small correction when Joe Biden goes in to kiss him. See, I'm stopping the brain from escalating to a state of sexual assault. That's right.
I just feel bad for him. I don't think Joe Biden knows what he's doing.
My correction is not to hurt Joe Biden, but just to snap the brain out of it. Okay, now you try. It's okay. Okay, that's okay. No. Calm assertive. Calm assertive. Hey, hey, hey. See, this quarter black is giving off a tense energy and escalating. He's asking himself, is it Joe Biden gonna kiss my neck? Is he gonna make a hair puppet? And Joe Biden is already escalating his energy to match. And he's rubbing shoulders and kissing the faces. Calm, assertive, assertive. That's it. That's right. That's right. You're the alpha of the pack. Hey, yes, that's it. Okay, correction. Correct. Yeah, that's right. Because he can only have water when you say he can have water. Oh, okay. That's right. Boundaries, consistency. Now you can have water. You can have. Now, this quarter black was doing really good with his Joe Biden. So it's time to introduce a new challenge. Okay, took you, Maddie? It's okay. Go. It's okay.
Coming up on Crowder 911.
That's not good.
So bright, pull on this emphasis. So bright.
All right, we are back. The promo code is Crowder Debate Stream. You get $20 off if you join Mug Club, which, by the way, is the only way that we get to continue this show. Not only that, but we do have a couple of wonderful sponsors. Of course, Walther and Black Rifle Coffee. For those of you who are not yet Black Rifle Coffee Club members, go to blackriflecoffee.com/Crowder.
Yes,
Drink
right.
because I just stuttered.
Yep.
blackriflecoffee.com/Crowder. I think it's 20% off your first order.
Use the promo code Crowder.
Use the promo code Crowder. which we got to fix that. They shouldn't have to enter in a promo code and go to that landing page.
We'll
But
figure
it's
it out.
fresh roasted and delivered right to you. So especially right now with the coronavirus, you don't want to go out and buy Folgers
Right.
because A, you have to go out, and then you have to drink Folgers, and then you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Double
by
negative.
Folgers, he meant crappy coffee.
Sorry, I'm not supposed to use that.
No,
Sorry,
you absolutely
you've been using
can.
Brand X.
Brand Y.
All right, let's go back. Bernie's saying something crazy.
In China today is much less than what it was 40 or 50 years ago. That's a fact. So I think we condemn authoritarianism, whether it's in China, Russia, Cuba, any place else. But to simply say that nothing ever done by any of those administrations had a positive impact
Didn't
on their
he just
people,
give, am I
would,
crazy, or
think,
didn't he
be
just give
incorrect.
Donald Trump a bunch of shit?
President Biden, you have criticized
For saying that he said
Senator
Donald
Sanders
Trump
for
believed
praising
China when they were
Castro's
lying to their
education
people, which, by the way,
system.
nobody
But in
knew. Donald Trump couldn't have known at that
President
time.
Obama said
On the flip
Cuba
side, so
made
Donald Trump said, hey, China, at this point, which is what we thought,
Yeah.
that China seems to be doing their best to contain the coronavirus. Thank you very much, China. Whereas Bernie said, hey, you know what? Let's try and understand why they ran over people with tanks, because they're providing some good
Yeah.
social programs.
Castro and his brother. That is to change the policy so that we could impact on Cuba's policy.
Impact on there it is.
Opened up. That was
Impact on
But the
impact on
praising
your
of the
frontal lobe.
Sandinistas, the praising of Cuba, the praising just now of China. China is an authoritarian dictatorship. That's what it is. We have to deal with them because they're there. But the idea that they, in fact, have increased the wealth of people in that country, it's been marginal, the change that has taken place.
CNN,
It is still there.
CNN, you can't get a makeup
Birdie's
artist to
face.
cover up those liver spots.
Just a little dust.
Power of
By the
liver
way,
spots.
the
Crying
idea
out
that he
loud.
praised the Soviet Union when it was
boost
the
that
Soviet
audio.
Union.
Looks like the old
Audio
street
wave.
guy on Beauty and the
Done
Beast.
well.
Yeah, let's turn it up a little bit.
An awful dictatorship killing millions and millions of people. And in addition to that, we have a circumstance where after the election was all over and we knew what
Hey, Bernie,
was done.
Play
by-
to the audience
by-
here a little
by the
bit. When he
Russians
says
now,
that
and
communist
interfering with our
dictators
elections,
kill millions
this
of
man
people,
voted
look
against
like you
sanctioning
agree. Not like you're planning your third honeymoon,
He's
asshole.
about to white knight for him.
This is exactly what the problem with politics is about. All right, question. Did China make progress in ending extreme poverty over the last 50
He just
years?
lost the
Yes or no?
election.
Yeah, dude.
Bernie Sanders
That's it.
just
Oh, dude.
lost the election. Did China make progress in ending poverty? No. No, Bernie. Certainly not compared to the United States, dummy.
Well-
it's not even close.
By throwing the poorest Chinese citizens into labor camps and killing them,
Right.
the
Yeah.
number of people
I mean, you just get rid
objectively
of them.
under the poverty line went down.
Bernie's going to be the next. He's going to have his own signature line of Nike sneakers.
Look at how rich we are. Look at this.
Yeah, Bernie's.
A wealth-
Just do it.
A wealth of Purell. Oh, man.
Thank you very much.
Is this what the Kardashians feel like? Man.
I don't know. They're
Yeah.
bottom heavy. He just lost the election. Bernie just lost the election. If people are
I
listening,
think
he
it's
just
a
lost the
little bit
election.
absurd If we're going to look at the world the way it is.
General
Of course we are
rule,
opposed
don't
to
praise
authoritarian.
Hitler or
And
the
by the way,
Nazis ever,
you know,
and don't
before,
say that communist China. Here's the thing,
considered
in a
good
vacuum,
policy, good
if you would
idea.
say that
I would
communist
say
China
Yeah.
is better off today than 30 years ago as far as the poorest among them,
Sure.
that may or may not be true. But it does not exist in a vacuum when compared to the United States or other free enterprise economies. Even South Korea. You don't have to go all the way across the globe into another hemisphere. China may or may not have improved slightly. And again, like you said, Bernie, we can't trust the Chinese because you were condemning Donald Trump for taking them at their word that they were containing the coronavirus. But we don't have to, because you can compare it to every other non-communist country, unless Bernie believes that the poorest in China, in Cuba, are better off than the poorest in the United States. And the truth is, it seems like he does. That's why he doesn't understand that he shouldn't make this argument. This is the ism. And if you don't have an ism, people say, I don't believe in ideologies. Well, guess what? Bernie does. Biden maybe not so much, Trump maybe not so much, but Bernie does. Someone like Ted Cruz does. Bernie does have an ideology. And if you don't understand ideology, and if you don't understand your ism, what your worldview is, doesn't mean that you have to follow lockstep with the Republican Party, but you do have to understand how you view the world. Otherwise, you have no hope of understanding why Bernie Sanders in 2020, when running for the President of the United States, is even thinking of implying that China has done anything to reduce poverty. You have to understand the isms. His sucks.
Whether or not
Sorry.
They were in fact
You should not
producing
be.
nuclear weapons or weapons of mass destruction. They
Sorry,
were not.
Mrs.
What's the first thing that happened when we got
Half-Asian
elected?
Richmond.
The President Obama turned to me and said,
Oh,
get
she's
those
from
troops
Hong
out
Kong.
of there. I was responsible for getting 150,000
That's a whole other
combat
can of
troops
worms that I don't want to
out
open.
of Iraq. I was the
Mainly
I admitted
because it has
14
worms.
years ago was
Yeah,
a mistake
you
to
should
have
throw it
trusted
away.
him. And I'm prepared to compare my foreign policy credentials
like cans.
up against my friend here on any day of the week and every day.
Well,
of
let's
the week.
start off with the war in Iraq, Joe. I was there too. I was in the House.
Guess who opposed
I
it?
understood.
Donald Trump.
And by the way, let's be
That's a
clear about
wash
what that vote was.
for Bernie and Trump.
You were there at the signing ceremony with Bush. Everybody.
And by the way, I'll say something unpopular. I supported the war in Iraq at that point.
Yeah.
And now I understand that it was a futile effort because these people, and I don't mean brown people, these people in Iraq are animals. They think if they kill the next guy, they can be number one. They don't understand a constitutional republic, let alone the idea of democracy. It hasn't worked, right? We have overall not improved it significantly.
I understood that. I was on the floor of the House time and time again. But the issue is not just the war in Iraq. That
He
was
said
a
time
long
and time again, it's
ago.
not a stutter, but I want to
The
take a drink.
issue is the trade agreement. Wasn't so easy for me to lead the effort against the
Has anyone done more for changing trade agreements than Donald Trump? Any president in modern history. Can you name one? Can anyone name one?
Right.
HW did a lot.
Marriage Act.
Did he?
Yeah.
The issue is whether or
Yeah, I
not
guess that's true.
in difficult
not as
times,
much.
and God
Not as
knows
much.
these are difficult times, we're going to have the
I'm not going to
courage
lie, I'm not
take
really up
on
to speed on the
powerful
HW
special
policy trade
interests
agreements.
and do what's
So
right.
just so you know,
Not an
I'm not going to
HW
act
wonk.
like the bobbleheads and you're like I'm an
Why did you vote
expert
not
because
to
I guarantee
sanction?
you Jake Tapper doesn't know everything. I know that obviously that we went in the direction, even if you go back to Carter all the way through Donald Trump, the direction of NAFTA and TPP. There might be some subtle variations therein, but that was the establishment politics. Donald Trump has always opposed them. He's done more to try and deconstruct them than any president in modern history. He's done more to shift the direction of trade agreements. And so that's where the populism between Bernie and Donald Trump are very similar. The difference is Donald Trump's populism is optimistic. We want to change these trade agreements so that Americans can compete and create jobs here. Bernie Sanders wants to change the trade agreement so that he can give handouts.
Chief of Staff was the guy, my foreign
And he
policy
smells like
guy,
farts.
doing that negotiation. I was the guy that helped put together a 60-nation organization to take on the ISIS in Iraq and in Syria. I've dealt with these folks. I know them, and I know what they're like, and I know who the good guys are and who the bad guys are.
Who are they, Joe?
The fact is,
oh, wait, specifics?
Bernie's notion about how he embraces folks like the Sandinistas and Cuba and the former Soviet Union and talks about the good things they did in China.
Oh, shut up, you old bag. Not only did you embrace the old Soviet Union, you honeymooned there, you prick.
I have led the effort against all forms of authoritarianism, including
Led the effort?
America's so-called
Led the effort.
What are you talking
You
Wow.
just said that you have to acknowledge China
What
did
the
more
hell
to
are
end
you talking
poverty.
about?
As you may know, worked with conservative Republicans to utilize for the very first time the War Powers Act to get the United States out of the horrific war in Yemen led by Saudi Arabia. That's what I did. So my view is
People
that
ask if I ever
in
agree
a
with Bernie or
world
anything. I think
moving
Yemen is kind of a
toward
quagmire, so I don't want to get into the details
the
here, but
United
he's not
States
wrong.
has got to be the leader where people all
There you
over the
go.
world look
People say,
to
could you
us
ever agree with Bernie?
for guidance.
Yemen.
Thank you.
That's about it.
I want to change topics.
That's
and
where it
ask
ends.
Hey,
about
you
some
guys
of your
both are into
vulnerabilities
pants.
That's true.
In this election, starting with you,
I
Vice
actually, you know what?
President Biden.
Mine's more of an
Senator
obligation.
Sanders has
His
won
is really because he
more
wants
of the
to cover
Hispanic
up the
vote
stick
than
thighs.
you in several key states so
You should
far.
see
In
the
fact,
liver
he
spots on his
doubled your support
legs.
in California.
Someone's like, did someone
among
paint?
Hispanics.
Did
He
someone
almost
paint
tripled it
spots on
in
those
Nevada.
stilts?
So why is your message not resonating with Hispanic voters?
Well, look, my message is resonating across the board. Every single state we've been in, there's been a significant turnout. In Virginia, turnout was up 70%. They voted for me.
I'm sorry,
He
you missed
didn't
the question,
bring
Joe.
them
It's Hispanic voters. Not
Look
Virginians.
what's happened in North Carolina. Look what's happened in Washington State. Look what's happened across the board.
Is he just naming
is it that
states
I'm
that he
winning?
knows?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Did he just say land?
What's the
Dominican
reason?
Republic.
The reason is because they know I am a Democrat with a capital D who in fact believes that our base is the base of the Democratic Party, which are hardworking men and women who in fact are high school educated, African Americans and minorities, including Hispanics, but all minorities, suburban women, people who in fact have a sense of our place in the world.
What about
That's
people
why
who
I
look
am
like
winning,
you?
Not just winning, but overwhelmingly winning.
Well, not
White
those,
men.
Not
Not
those
even
guys.
close. in these places.
Not those
We're assholes.
Yeah.
Senator Sanders, let me just follow up with you about
Look at Bernie's
an
smile.
issue that you're having for the
It's like he can do it without doing this.
You're struggling
But
to
the thing with your
gain
teeth.
wide support from African Americans. Why is your message not resonating with African American voters?
My lawyer's not amused.
Here is what I believe is happening, and this is an important point.
You believe in communist
And why
China. We
I
get it. We get
decided to run
it.
for president. I think it's imperative that we defeat Trump. I think our campaign of a biracial, bigenerational, multi-generational grassroots movement is the way to do it. Now, we have won some states. Joe has won more states than I have. But here's what we are winning. We are winning the ideological struggle, even in states like Mississippi. Where
Did
Joe
he
won
just
a
say,
major
please
victory.
vote for me, I'm losing?
Turns out that a pretty good majority
I'm down in the polls. Please vote for me.
Look, if you want an underdog, I'm under, and I'm a dog. Do it.
Generational struggle. Depending on the state, we're winning people 50 years of age or younger, big time people 30 years of age and younger. I frankly have my doubts. Look, if I lose this thing, Joe wins.
Do you get
Joe,
to
I will be
object
there
to
for you.
non-responsive in
But
a
I
debate?
have my doubts about how you
Objection
win a general
non-responsive
election
is when someone
against
doesn't
Trump.
answer the
Will be
question.
a very, very
And I've
tough
yet to hear him
opponent
actually talk
unless you
about
have
the
energy,
African American voters
excitement, the largest
that he
voter
can't
turnout
get to his side
Yeah.
because he's so far left they can't even see him.
Right.
Because as you said earlier, the African American vote is the centrist of the Democratic
Yeah,
Party.
they're not on board with the crazy socialism of Bernie
who
Sanders.
are great people who have the agenda that we need, but also don't vote in the numbers that we need. I have my doubts that Vice President Biden's campaign can generate that energy and excitement and that voter turnout.
I will do that.
That's
And
actually
by the
probably
way,
true.
Let's get this straight. The energy and excitement
I think he's right, but this isn't the right
been
message
for
to be
me.
sending. I have my doubts about Joe Biden. This is the time, man. You got to go for the hammer blow right now.
Yeah.
Right.
He can't do it. We can do it. We're the chance. Make it happen. If you want a president who can't even defeat his own primary opponent and even speak strongly against him in the most simple terms,
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah, if Bernie were in Queen, his song would be, "We are doing okay, my friends, and we'll keep doing everything in our power until close to the termination of the contract."
Because things are looking up.
We're not number one because that would be the establishment. But we'll perpetually number two. We'll retire number one because
And more,
it's not good.
More importantly, we will hopefully be heard by you.
Oh, it went on a break.
Another
Break
break.
time.
Gosh, well, I don't want to go to another break.
Wow.
Because I feel
I'm
like
not
we're
going
not
to
as
a break.
we're not
Yeah,
as
not going to a
lazy
break.
as CNN.
Nope, no break.
Is this the part where they sell self-lubricating pocket catheters and the phones with the giant numbers?
It is.
The promo code is Crowder Debate Stream. You get $20 off, of course, and Black Rifle Coffee delivers. BlackRifleCoffee.com/Crowder. They're our wonderful sponsors. Paul
It's safe.
Giamatti. There's a guy who's possibly the best actor I can think of in
Incredible.
in modern times.
Yeah.
He really is amazing. Do we have anything that we needed to fact check there, Reg, from the last one?
No, I don't believe so. No. I think, Bernie, I think if we learned anything from Trump is that if you want to beat the establishment, you have to go for the jugular. You've got to be cutthroat, and Bernie just isn't willing to do that. That's,
Right.
that's
There's
what
no-
you're
there's no
talking
message
about.
there.
Yeah.
And
that
so that's why I want to see him get really down and dirty, because that's what Trump would do here. If if Bernie
That's what
wants
he
to win,
needs
that's
going
what he
into
needs to
the
do.
debates with Trump.
Well, you know what I think happens is when you hear Bernie on the campaign trail, he's far more aggressive than in debates.
Yep.
Whereas Donald Trump was sort of the flip of that. On the campaign trail, it was mostly rhetorical, and then in debates, he was going for the throat.
Right.
Because if Bernie in a debate says the things that he says on the campaign trail, in other words, if he goes into this debate with Joe Biden, he says, "I support the Green New Deal," and Joe Biden's going, "What? That's 5 pages, and it takes over the entire American economy. This is what we're talking about. This kind of radicalism," so he has to tone it down. This is the big difference between Republicans and Democrats. Democrats have to run as more centrists to win, whereas Republicans, they always talk about Republicans are so divisive because they have to appeal to the base. Yeah, whether you like them or not, Republicans have to appeal to their actual principles if they have any hope of winning the presidency. Think about it. The big knock against Donald Trump was, we think this guy's a centrist, a guy who was a Democrat for a long time in New York, who's pretending to be a conservative right now so that he can win the Republican primary. Whereas right here, you have Democrats trying to present themselves as more centrist than they actually are. So people can talk about which issues Americans line up with. You hear a lot of people on the left, like Samantha Bee, Young Turks, John Oliver, saying most people support Medicare care for all. Well, hold on a second. When you say most people support some kind of free health care, sure. When it comes down to Americans who support a socialized health care plan that would, by necessity, prohibit privatized insurance, I think the number is down to what, 13%, 12%? Yeah. I think we have that source somewhere. They have to present themselves as more centrist than their policies. Donald Trump had to present himself as more right-leaning than how he may have been in actuality. That should tell you who lines up with more Americans, because you can use statistics to try and ask leading questions all you want. Ultimately, there is empirical data, and statistics do matter, but I tend to give more weight to statistics that nail specifics, not just, would you like some kind of free health care? Oh, yeah.
He meant empirical. So,
what did I say?
Imperial.
Did I say imperial?
It's not the king's
that drink.
evidence.
That drink is 9%.
Thank you. There
Thank
we
you
go.
for correcting me. Yeah, I'm not talking about measuring systems. I mean empirical evidence. I was trying to avoid the word empire after Bernie Sanders praised communist China.
You know, when you look back at the earlier debate when Warren came out swinging against Bloomberg, and she scored so many great points. I mean, she was too far behind. She had too many crazy messages and, frankly, not any good explanations for her healthcare plan. She was doomed. But when you look at what Bernie's doing today, he's making a lot of faces. He's raising a lot of fingers while Joe's speaking, but he's not actually going after him. And in the moments when you notice Joe finishes...
Pause. I wanted to continue that.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
No.
It said coronavirus, fact versus versus fiction. I'm not going to lie. I'm feeling the beer right now, so if I misspeak, you can correct me.
Done.
You can be you can be the Obama to my Biden. It said fact versus fiction, and it showed them hauling somebody out in a chamber like E.T. in a cryogenic, like fact from fiction.
They get the tubes and stuff.
And the flowers are blooming. It was ridiculous. Okay, sorry.
I love it. I love it. No, and this is the moment he had to do it. So Joe Biden finishes a comment. Maybe he said something coherent. Probably he didn't. And then Bernie turns, and you'll notice he does this a bunch of times. He goes, look, rather than answer your question,
I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go over here.
Remember what happened. And I'm going to ask you a question that doesn't relate. And maybe you'll forget, like I forgot, what we were even talking about.
His plan is to hope that Joe Biden forgets where he started.
I know, but he's not. But he's not even going. He's not even at that point throwing the pebbles in his face and then sucker punching him, which is what he needed to do now. I mean, he's creating a lot of smoke, but then also getting confused. I mean, that's the part that doesn't make sense.
Yes, I think you're right, but I will say this: that must be because Bernie Sanders is afraid to stand by his policy, because Bernie Sanders does seem pretty mentally sharp tonight.
Yeah,
he's wrong, but he's certainly more mentally sharp than Joe Biden.
He's not going as far as he needs to if he's going to really be the change.
But I don't think he's going around the bend intellectually.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Joe Biden is just. I think Joe Biden seriously has dementia. Okay, let's see Jake Tapper.
Your closing message tonight for those who are concerned about, affected by, or dealing with the coronavirus.
Well, our hearts go out.
I just touched my mouth doing an impression of Bernie.
We need to move aggressively to make sure that every person in this country who has the virus, who thinks they have the virus, understands
this is the whole debate, just the virus
that they need because they are Americans. That we move aggressively.
Why does that matter, Bernie? I thought you didn't like.
That doesn't matter. You said it doesn't matter if they're Americans or not. Then everyone, period. Let's just bring over a bunch of Italians and roll the dice.
I'm fairly certain you can sum up Bernie's position of what is your closing message to Americans about coronavirus. I don't care about you. That's what he says. He doesn't care about it.
I want to open the borders and make sure that we have a lot of people named Savinelli.
I mean, I really feel like...
Well, I'm just saying they're going to come in through Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like the coronavirus could actually shift the whole debate about immigration? I mean, you have... I mean, in globalism in general, our reliance on other countries for industry and things like that, because you even have, Mexico is wanting to close its border.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Wow.
Mexico wanted to close its border.
Right? And then you have 24 other countries that are restricting travel,
mutual travel,
and closing their borders. So I think it's going to be much more a survival thing. People are going to become much more nationalist. They're going to be concerned about the safety of our country and not just want open borders. It really brings it into clear focus.
Yep.
And I thought even more bold was when asked, the president of Mexico was said to keep out those filthy Hondurans. Yeah. I mean, he's bold.
I thought he said filthy Ohioans.
He's not shackled by the chains of political correctness like we are.
Yeah,
like Bane.
What's your closing message tonight for those concerned about, affected by, or
I have corona. Wait, no. Why don't? Who stopped?
Why
am I stopping?
I said at the outset, I just can't imagine what people are going through right now who have lost someone already.
Speaking slowly
I can't
to convey
imagine
fake
what
emotion.
people are going through when they have a mom. Like, for example, a good friend of
Who?
ours. is
Those people who
sitting
happen to have
outside.
moms.
Hey, by the way, the total number of people who've died to coronavirus here in the United States is lower than people who've died because of socialized health care during that exact same period. Just to keep it in context. Probably in Italy alone. How do I come up with those numbers? Compare the mortality rates of cancer, of serious diseases in the United States versus socialized healthcare countries. It's not even close. I've buried several relatives because of it, by the way. Took several months to get to an oncologist who diagnosed stage 4 lung cancer.
This is about America. This is about the world. This is about how.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be a downer like that.
And make
Still a funny stream.
to get this done. And so, first and foremost, what we have to do is start to listen to the science again. As I said, what we did, we met in the. What I'd be doing,
like you listen to the science about men taking shits in little girls' stalls.
Pulling together the best people, and not just the United States, the world. And
Listen to the science on the YouTube.
Stutter. Three stutters. Triple drink.
God.
Triple drink.
Oh, jeez.
I might have to.
Oh, God. Oh, jeez.
Get more
Oh, God. Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man. If anyone doesn't know that, that's Ryan O'Neal. Worst movie line delivery ever. YouTube it.
Rendered harmless.
The
that we, in
YouTube it.
fact, make sure every paycheck is met. Every paycheck that's out there that people are going to miss. That we keep people in their homes. They don't miss their mortgage payments. They don't miss their rent payments. Making sure that they're going to be able to take care of education. And by the way, the education institutions are closing down right now. And so there's
All
so
right,
many
drink.
things we have to
Come
do.
on, that was not only a stutter, it was nonsensical.
The best science in the world to telling us what can stay open and what need be closed. Like I said earlier.
What need be closed?
Need be
Is that wait, hold on a second. Is that proper grammar, audio aid?
I don't know. Being able to
I think it's just old-timey.
What's funny is you think he speaks English. He doesn't.
To get by. The idea that we would close any place that I can understand the decision made to close places where 100 or 50 people or more gather. But how do you keep open the drugstore to make sure you can get your prescription? How do you deal with the
Bernie's like, you forced them.
Well, then Biden's like, I've got a plan. And yet his whole closing is like, but what do we do? Seriously, guys, I'm actually asking.
His whole plan sounds like he's sending an encrypted message to the pharmacist at his Dwayne Reed so that he hopes they don't close before the debate is over. And I better be able to get my Lamisil after this because you know how important that is.
Like, who is he responding to? Is anyone actually proposing closing pharmacies?
Yeah, actually Bernie is because he's going to crush the whole healthcare industry.
Okay, that's fair.
Wish both of you the best. Our thanks as well to our partners at Univision for
So just to remind everybody, we do have a wrap-up stream on the Blaze only.
That's true. Is it BlazeTV.com?
BlazeTV.com.
BlazeTV.com.
It's in the description below.
Pandemic continues now with Anderson Cooper.
Oh no, Anderson Cooper, not the
nobody
queer from
wants
the
that.
West Village.
The Night
Not
King.
because he's queer, just that he is the queer from West
The
Village.
Night King. Yeah.
All right, so people watching here on YouTube, we are about to go to our wrap up at theblazetv.com. And I know somebody, listen, it's not a bait and switch. We've been here for what? 2 hours?
2 hours and 20 minutes.
2 hours and 20 minutes. So we hope you've gotten your money's worth, which on YouTube is nothing. And for everybody else who still wants these streams to continue, we are going to go right now exclusively to theblazetv.com.
So if you want to see it,
if you want to see it, go to theblazetv.com and join Mug Club. LoudOutCrowder.com/Mug Club. It's you have the promo code right now, Crowder Debate Stream. You get $20 off. It's usually $99. You get it for $79. And of course, if you're students, veterans, or active military, you get it for $69. That gives you the whole Mug Club catalog, which means shows every day, well, Monday through Thursday, plus some specials every week, and the entire Blaze catalog. You get Dave Rubin, you get Glenn Beck, you get Mark Levin, you get Ali Stuckey, all those people. Blaze, what?
Most importantly,
what?
We can't do any of this without the Mug Clubbers. So
no,
thank
of course
you.
we can't do any of this.
appreciate you.
I already said that.
Well, we have to remind them.
Gosh, Mr. Sharpay, we get it. Go cough on some. Can we cough on
Do I
somebody
have that
here?
many wrinkles?
No, you don't have the wrinkles. You just have the big. You just have a big
Then
head.
I'm a
You have a big
chow.
head.
I'm a chow.
You have a photogenic head.
Thank you.
I think people think I'm shorter than I am in real life. People think you're taller because I have a small head. You have a big head.
Oh. Hey, wait!
Whistleblower 22 here. You may know that Joe Biden was recently seen with a blood-filled left eye during a climate town hall. To a normie, this is just more proof that this actual f***ing baby boomer is too old to support a closed circulatory system. While this is true, the more important truth we'll hear